Welcome to My Watches with Ben, where I talk about choices I made in my watch collecting hobby, as well as present some score-based analysis of watch types. Today is the score-based analysis thing. I'm going to tell you what are the top 10 small dive watches, i.e. under 40 millimeters in diameter. It's a spin-off of the 18-hour dive watch video series I did in summer 2024, last year. Link in the description. I'm happy to report right up front that there are some awesome small dive watches. The competition was really strong for that top 10. Yeah, check out the runners-up too, because there's some good runners-up. I guarantee you just have not seen all these watches before. In fact, Teddy Baldessar had an article by Mark Bernardo titled 21 Small Dive Watches for Men and Ladies from under $100 to $10,000. And he lists some really great choices in there, and some of them are in my top 10. However, 6 of the watches in my top 10 aren't on Teddy Baldessar's list at all. And this includes the gold, the silver, the bronze. My top 3 are not in Teddy Baldessar's list. It doesn't mean his list is like garbage or something, but my point is there are more watches out there than you know of, and it's easy to miss them. And if you're just looking at articles, you're not going to get the full picture. Here, you get the full picture. There are 112 dive watches in this video. Which brings me to the most important point. If you only have a little bit of time, I suggest you skip to the top 10 right now. It's going to take me a while to cover all these 112 watches. So just skip to that top 10. There's timestamps in the description. If you have the time and you can watch the whole video, definitely do that. It's totally worth it. You're going to see 112 dive watches that are under 40 millimeters. Smaller size watches are in a renaissance right now, and there's some great choices. My recommendation is if you see something you like, take a screenshot. You're probably not going to remember. There's going to be so many good watches. If you watched that 18-hour series I posted last summer, you might remember that throughout the series I did top 10 conventional. So I had top 10 enthusiasts. Those were that was just the regular scoring system. Then I had top 10 conventional, which was like smaller sizes, more like mainstream sizes. It was sort of like 42 down to 38. That was kind of the Goldilocks zone. This video today is different. There's nothing over 40 millimeters whatsoever. And my goal was 38. I thought 38 was the ideal. Anything above and below penalized. But yeah, today's different. The other thing is I included a bunch of watches that weren't in that original series. For example, Rolex Yachtmaster. Whatever the one was in over the summer, it's larger. It's like a 42 or something. I can't remember. I'm sorry. The one in this video is the 37 millimeter. Like in that other video series, I had 689 watches or something like that. So I was trying to avoid duplication. This one, I'm like, you need to see the small one. So there's ones in here that weren't covered over the summer. For example, Breitling Super Ocean, 36 millimeter. That's awesome for a small watch. Oris Aquis makes a smaller one too. Those are some examples. I included everything I could find under 40 millimeters. Caveat is that can be purchased new today. That did eliminate some of the watches that would have been in here because they're just not available on the website anymore. The company went out of business, whatever. Let me know if I missed any of these watches, and I'll add it to the pinned comment. I'll give it a score and let you know how it would have done. One other change with this video, you're going to see more pictures of the watches this time. I'm going to have other pictures other than the product shot, because product shots straight on are really good for evaluating watches against each other, but it's more entertaining to see other artsy pictures. So I'm going to try to put in artsy pictures all over the place, panning slowly, looking really cool. Let me know if you appreciate that. I'm sure you will. You know, when I watch videos, when I can see cool pictures, I like that a lot more than just static. So I think it's worth the extra effort. Let me know if you appreciate it. Now for the philosophy. Okay, I'm deviating ever so slightly from the parent series this came out of. The main point still stands. The main point about dive watches to know is that dive watches are no longer necessary for diving. There was a time in history where dive watches were like required. You had to have a dive watch. It was vital equipment. But now we have diving computers, and those are much better. It's much safer to use the diving computer. And I know divers like to have the watch a lot of times as a backup or whatever, or it's fun, or, you know. But the dive computer, that's really the essential equipment. Yeah, many of these watches, The other weird thing about dive watches is that a lot of these dive watches can go lower than any human can go. For example, the deepest recorded open circuit scuba dive was 332 meters. And that's the world record by an expert who is in peak physical condition. Yeah, people aren't often going to 300 meters. That is super deep. That's world record, like, depth. I'm wearing a 500 meter dive watch. And yeah, in the overall dive market, there are ridiculously high depth ratings of 2,000, 5,000, 11,000, even 25,000 meters. And that's literally lower than the deepest spot in the Mariana Trench, the lowest spot in the ocean. So dive watches have ridiculous capability right now. And the mechanical dive watch is not a vital safety tool anymore anyway. So it's in a weird place. And dive watches are arguably more popular than ever before. So what is going on here? And my answer is dive watches are popular because they're fun and they look cool. They're robust and they're very versatile. And you can use them in real life so easily. You know, you want to time 5 minutes or whatever. It's nice. The bezel is really cool. My overall philosophy of the dive watch is that it's a tool watch, but it's also an everyday watch. People are desk diving. They sit at their desk like I'm doing now. And they wear the dive watch and they look down at it and it's fun and it's bright and it makes them happy. But it has dual requirements. It should be a tool watch. People expect it to be robust, but it should also be an everyday watch. The best dive watches can do both. So I designed a scoring system to reward watches that excel at both of these things. They're a good tool watch, they're also a good everyday watch. And in this video, I'm considering the ideal diameter to be 38 millimeters. Hallmarks of the dive watch: legibility. Often dive watches have humongous chunky hands, so you can see them so easily. And the indexes are usually big too. Contrasting colors. The timing bezel's a hallmark. High water resistance is a hallmark of a dive watch. Typically 200 plus. Bracelet extensions like this Raven are highly desired. And originally this was to go over wetsuit because you wanted it, your wetsuit adds some thickness, so you wanted to be able to have two different thicknesses of the watch, one with the wetsuit, one without the wetsuit. And now we just like it for comfort. I love being able to adjust the clasp. It's a hallmark of a dive watch. Bright colors are appreciated. Gosh, what was his name? Yeah, there's rich history of dive watches having bright colors on them. They thought it was easier to see underwater, and it probably is. Crown guards are a hallmark of dive watches. Screw-down crowns are a hallmark of dive watches, absolutely. And visibility in the dark, luminosity. You'll see some really cool lume on dive watches. The coolest lume of all watches is on dive watches. What I did last summer was I went through these different elements and I developed a scoring system that would kind of weigh what is important between all these different things, and it would produce a score based on the specs and the visual attributes of the watch. And so that you've got that score. Later in the video, I'm going to consider other factors as well, but the scoring system is kind of the foundation. So now I'll talk about that scoring system. All right, I'm not going to rehash the whole scoring system today. If you want all the deets, please check out the link in the description to that first video. I go over every little element of the scoring system and I explain the rationale and everything. The short synopsis is that the score is calculated using 23 separate data points that come from the spec sheet and the visual attributes. Spec sheet is going to be things like the thickness of the watch. And one point on thickness, sometimes they list it, the thickness of the case without the crystal, and the crystal is this crazy huge 2mm dome. No, thickness in this video is the total thickness, bottom to top. The materials, steel versus bronze or whatever, diameter, movement type, crystal, those are all on the spec sheet. Visual attributes, that's going to be things like what kind of information is on the bezel. Like this bezel here, it has a bunch of hash marks to the 15 mark, and then it has numerals. So that's a visual attribute. Numbers, are there numbers on the dial or is it just symbols? What does the loom pattern look like? Is there second loom? Is the bezel fully loomed or is it just a pip at the top? These sorts of things. All that stuff goes in the scoring system. And like I said, I'm not going to rehash it, but here's a couple tweaks I made just for this video. The main thing is I adjusted for size. So now 38 is the ideal. and deviations above and below, like 39 millimeters gets a 1-point penalty, 39.5 gets a 2-point penalty. But yeah, you start deviating from 38 either above or below, you get penalties. Something else is I added a 1-point bonus for anti-reflective coating. I think that should be rewarded. That wasn't in the original video, but it's in this one. The other thing I did is I added a bonus for Swiss-made movements. It's a big difference between your Miyota 8215, the unidirectional winding rotor, and then the Swiss ETA 2893. There's a difference in quality there. It's not just the dollar amount. Like, ETA is higher quality than the Miyota. Sorry, it just is. So I gave a bonus to Swiss movements. And so a watch may not be Swiss made, but it may have an ETA or Sellita. It gets the bonus. All right, so that's it about the scoring system. Let's talk about the price categories. The price categories are because it's weird to compare Rolex and Timex. That's a strange thing to do. So for this video, there's only 112 watches. I decided to break it just in half to have 2 chunks of like around 56 watches. The midpoint was like 689 or whatever. I set it at 700. So there's 2 price categories, over $700, under $700. Those are the 2 price categories in this video. So I'll have 2 segments. I'll have small divers under $700, small divers over $700. And I will present the watches to you in order from highest to lowest. Well, I'll do the top 5. I'll do like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'll do 6 down through 56 or whatever. And there is nothing subjective about the score they earn. Now, if they tied, I will break the ties subjectively. Yeah, everything is score-based, just the visual attributes and the spec sheet. I think there's really a lot of value in this type of analysis. It's not a perfect system. You know, any kind of scoring system, it's got my biases kind of built into it. Something that does really well score-wise is going to be a solid watch. Something that doesn't do so well score-wise, you can see why it underperforms others. You know, it'll have lower water resistance, whatever. But yeah, here are the categories. The first category is small divers under 700. Okay, small dive watches under $700. This includes things like Seiko, front and center, Aquatico, Ubique, Alpina, Islander, Erebus, Glycine, those sorts of things. There's a lot of good options under $700, but there's even better options over $700. Small dive watches over $700 include the Breitling Super Ocean, Rolex Yachtmaster, Tudor, Oris, Tag Heuer, Rado, that I probably heard about from Teddy Bulbasaur, and Serica Longines. Yeah, those are good options. It's going to be fun to go through all that stuff. For the final top 10, I'm going to also take subjective factors into account with that runoff round of 40 watches. They'll be pitted against each other in several subjective things. Basically, just like I'll take those 40 watches and rank them. And, you know, looks is probably the first one that comes to mind. And it's just going to be my opinion, Ben's opinion on what is the best looking watch. I don't know how to do that for anybody else. But then other things like distinctiveness. Well, yeah, that's super subjective. So distinctiveness is a category at the end. I'm also going to look at lume, impressiveness. There's going to be something that balances it for affordability. There's penalties for being really expensive. So if you have a $500 watch and a $1,000 watch, and they're just as good as each other, like brand heritage, whatever, you put all these metrics together, they seem pretty evenly matched, but the only difference is the price. Well, obviously the $500, it's better to spend $500 than $1,000 to get the same quality of watch. So affordability factors in there at the end as well. I didn't say this somehow. Okay, so the 40 watches in the runoff are the 10 highest from the under $700, the 10 highest from the over $700, and then 20 wild cards. But those are the only ones that are eligible for the end. The top 10s from each one, plus wild cards. The final result is very analytical. I think you're going to be surprised at some of the watches that are in there. Like I said, 6 of them aren't even on Teddy Baldassar's list. So, yeah. And the number 1 wasn't on my radar at all when I started this. Like, when I started it, I knew about the Yachtmaster. I knew about some of these watches that are smaller. Glycine does the 36mm, stuff like that. I knew about some smaller watches, but the number 1 small dive watch, I wasn't even really aware of it. Yeah, this is going to be good. I've set the table. All this stuff is out of the way. Lots of talking. Now I can get into it, starting with the small divers under $700. All right, I'll do the top 5 and then do the 53 other ones. In 5th place is the Phoibos Delphinus. $465, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Very standard looking dive watch here. I like the trapezoidal date cutout at 6 o'clock. That's looking good. Here's the lume shot. It's more of like a render, but you can see it's got decent lume on the dial, and then you get full lume on the bezel. That's nice. There's apparently a bracelet extension. They're saying it's only 11 millimeters thick. That is super thin. Yeah, that's exceptional. There's anti-reflective coating. Decent dive watch for sure. I see it in black and gray. I think those are your only colors. Total score of 81. In fourth place is the Alpina Sea Strong Diver Gyre, $345 from Joma Shop, from a gray market. I think officially these are 1,000 or something, but yeah, you can get them for this kind of price. 36 millimeters across. I think that's the bezel. I'm going to count it because it's not a square watch or anything. It just has these little humps. 300 meters water resistance. Yes, great water resistance. Yeah, this is a fantastic deal. Screaming deal. An automatic movement. I don't know if it's the Sellita or the ETA or what it is. It's a Swiss automatic movement, and the whole total price tag $345, and it says Alpina on the dial. Like, this is good value. I think they're trying to get rid of them. Fiber reinforced. That just means there's like glass mixed in or something. It's not adding very much in terms of tensile strength or anything. It's pretty much just the same as plastic. But plastic is great for a dive watch. It's not going to corrode. That's a good feature. Unfortunately, I combed the internet. I could not find a lume shot for this watch. This one, from the description, they say that the pip is lumed. It's just this little triangle here. It's black lume in there. But they say the rest of the bezel is not lumed. They say there's lume on the second hand. It's probably just at the end. I don't think that's going to last very long. Only 12 thick. It's a compelling choice. Score of 82. In third place is the Airbus Origin 38. $250. Yes. 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. There's so much good to say about this watch. I don't even know where to begin. It basically ticks all the marks. The only marks it doesn't tick is like brand heritage sort of stuff. I love the bezel. I'll just start from the outside and work in. From the very outside is the bracelet extension. That's awesome. Bracelet extensions are so nice. My wrist swells throughout the day, so being able to adjust it up or down is really nice. This bezel is fantastic. You have the slash marks all the way around. That's very useful for timing things. Much more useful than like when it stops at 15 or whatever. This is fantastic. I like the red accents here. I like the texture dial. I like the very plain hands here. It's sort of like a Zen thing here where it's black in the middle. I really like that. It's very tooly. I do lean more to the tooly side. H-link bracelet looks good. Only 12.8 thick. That's nice. Lume is fantastic. Look at this lume. Fully lumed bezel. Yeah, that's one of the better ones. I really like the crown guards here. They've got some angles, but then it's also curved here. It looks so clean, so cool. Jody and his buddy cracked the code that Mark at Long Island could not crack here with the bracelet extension on a watch that's $250. So this is great value. 6 o'clock date is nice. Negative display date is cool. A ton of value here, just and character too. So I like this one a lot. Score of 82. In second place is the LumeTech Solar Marine 4. $575, 39 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. It's a solar quartz movement. That is awesome. Solar quartz it's fantastic for a tool watch. Yeah, it's sort of the best of both worlds of quartz and automatic, because you have the accuracy of the quartz, the resilience of quartz. It's much less likely to get hurt by being hit hard or whatever. But then you also get like a longer service interval like you have with an automatic movement, because you're not changing batteries or any of that sort of stuff. And typically solar movements have an end of life indicator as well. So unlike a lot of quartz watches that'll just die on you at some point, these ones you can tell when it's running low, and basically you just put it in the sun and it charges right up. So solar quartz is fantastic. It's called LumeTech, but the lume is not that great. Tiny, tiny hands. It got penalized for too thin hands. These hands are very tiny. This little strip of lume on the second hand's not going to last long. From what I've found, yeah, the wider the plot of lume, generally the longer it lasts. It's just better that way. When you have these thin strips, it's really not so great. But it's very thin. For a 300-meter watch, 10.7 is absurdly thin. That's very, very thin. No crown guards on this thing. The date cutout's looking a little bit lame. Seems like a cool choice. Oh, and the PVD coating, so the black coating on the case here, that actually protects it from corrosion more than just naked steel. So that's nice to see on a dive watch as well. I mean, stainless steel is highly corrosion resistant. There are not many materials used on dive watches that are susceptible to corrosion. I mean, steel's probably the lowest in terms of corrosion resistance, but yeah, PVD helps it out. Total score of 84. First place, the number one dive watch, specs-wise, under $700, is the Seiko SNE 575. Only 396 bucks, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. It's got some cool character here. I like the bright blue and everything. Yeah, the style of it's nice. I like this globe. The bracelet apparently has an extension on it. It is super thin, 10.6. Great wearing proportions on this. You're going to like that no matter what your wrist size is. I think this is going to be fantastic. Lume is looking totally decent. Seiko supposedly has great lume, so I would expect this too. I don't know the Seiko dive watch, so I don't know firsthand, but that's what people always say. They say great lume on Seiko dive watches, above average lume. I love having the marks all the way around. This one is actually ISO certified, and you know that because it says divers with the apostrophe. And it's got PADI, Professional Diving Instructors or something. Association of Professional Diving Instructors. I don't know what this acronym is exactly, but yeah, this is legitimate dive watch. I like Seiko's wacky hands here. Yeah, this is a fantastic choice. And only 400 bucks. I'm sure you can find them even less. Seiko really does not do the bracelet extension very often, so that's cool to see. Score of 87. So those were the top fives. Now I'm just going to go down the line all the way to 58, go all the way to the end. In sixth place is the Seiko SNE 57. $338, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Very similar to that last one, and there's probably some more variations like this. I think this is an older model though, compared to the 575 we just saw. This one does not have the extension on the bracelet, from what I could tell, from what I could find looking at their spec sheet. It's still ISO certified. Otherwise, I think it's pretty similar to that last one. Good choice, good lume on this thing. They even put lume on the opposite side of the date window here. A lot of watches will skip the lume here where the date is. I like that they put a little strip there. It's nice. Total score of 82. In seventh place, the last of the good grades is the Vare DS4 Meridian Tactical Solar. $279, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. The gold and the blue is looking really cool. You can kind of see that it's a little bit translucent here, so you can see that solar movement thing going on. These blues are not totally matching. I think it's hard to match with the solar. And the solar is going to look different in different lights. That's one thing that'll happen. Very interesting what they did with the indexes here. You know, your 1 o'clock, your 5 o'clock, your 7 o'clock, your 11 o'clock are this shape. And then 2, 4, 8, 10 are something else. And then 3, 6, 9 or something else. And 12 is something else too. Like, we've got 4 different index shapes. So that's kind of interesting. You don't see that very often at all. Minimal dial text is looking good. I like having the minute Arabics on the dial. The lugs are looking cool with this kind of this wavy apex thing here bisecting the lug. I really like the nylon strap too. I have a nylon pass-through strap here on this Cadison I'm wearing. I really like that because you just dunk your hand right in the water, no big deal. Nylon dries quickly. I prefer having a nylon strap over silicone. Yeah, nylon straps are really nice. Cool option from Vare. They're a brand worth looking at. They have a lot of cool stuff in their catalog. Total score of 80. In 8th place is the Helson Skin Diver 38 Titanium. $599, 38 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. Clearly copying Blancpain. Fantastic lume. We got to look at that. Look at all that lume. Big plots of lume on the dial, the hands, bezel. It's all looking great. You're not going to be disappointed with the lume, is my suspicion. You can only tell so much from the pictures. Looks like great lume. If you're interested in any of the watches in this video, check out a review. Yeah, do your own research, but I'm helping narrow down what's good here. Helson seems to make a darn decent watch. Pretty average thickness here. You've got that isoframe strap. seems okay. I'm not a big fan of isofrane or rubber or silicone or whatever. It feels yucky on my skin. I don't care for that, but some people love it, so don't let my bias influence you. Titanium is fantastic. In contrast, titanium is hypoallergenic, more hypoallergenic than steel. I don't know if the case back is titanium though. Sometimes it has a steel case back, so you need to check that. And sometimes that's better too, because titanium tends to gall with other titanium. It will kind of seize up when you screw titanium pieces together. Yeah, it's a cool watch. Score 79. In ninth place is the Armida A11. Price of $399. 36 millimeters across. 300 meters water resistance. All right. It's the most conventional looking 36 millimeter we've seen so far. Very similar handset to that Ver, actually. Second hand differs, but that's weird. So kind of a sword hour hand, and then I don't know what this is. Fence post minute. Blues are not matching. I think it's okay though. They're complementary to each other. So I'm fine with these blues. Kind of rough brushing here on this case. I don't know. Bracelet. I mean, their product shot is not looking the most refined. It's interesting that they put the lume plot over the date window here. It gives it a unique look in the dark. Lume looks decent on this. I think that's good. Yeah, it's a cool option. Seems like they're charging a bit much. 400 is pushing it. It's really pushing it. But there's not many other options that are 36. Like if you look at Chinese watches, they're mostly 40 plus. Chinese dive watches. I don't think I've seen a Chinese dive watch that's 36 millimeters. I think Armida is a Hong Kong company. Yeah, so they're offering something unique here. Now, all these colors are not available. I think yellow and orange might be sold out. The blue is, though. This one on the screen, the blue one, is available. You can get it right now at time of recording. Only 12 thick? That's fantastic. So thinner than average. The Rolex Submariner, which is praised for being exceptionally thin, is a 300 meter water resistance watch with 12 millimeters thickness. So this is the same. Equal quality to the Rolex Submariner. That is my guarantee. I'm just kidding. It's really not, but it does match it in terms of thickness, according to the product specifications. So that's good. Oh, Swiss automatic. Okay, so that's why it's $399. There's a Swiss automatic movement in here. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Obviously not Swiss made. I think it's a Hong Kong thing, but you get a Swiss movement. Total score of 79. In 10th place is the Glycine Combat Sub 39 millimeters. $568, 39 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. Looking a little bit like a Tudor. Yeah, I chose the black with the red bezel, so that especially looks like a Tudor. Cool negative display date here with red text. It's not super easy to read that, but it looks really cool. They did kind of a Rolex hour hand here, but there's no Mercedes, the three little lines. So I think that's okay. Let's look at the lume. Cool lume. Hour hand is weird though. I don't care for this. I wish that they had loomed the little triangle too, because just the circle here looks a little strange. I don't know. I take it back. It has its own character. It's good that it has its own character. Everything shouldn't look exactly like Rolex. Swiss made. Yeah, glycines are great. I think you can find them cheaper too. Only 11.5 thick. So yeah, this is thinner than the Rolex Submariner. Glycine is famous for being thin. Glycine Combat. That's one of the reasons you choose the Glycine Combat, because it is exceptionally thin, and it's a Swiss movement. Like, this is a great option under 1,000. And there's an even smaller one later. There's a 36 millimeter that they offer as well, and that's included. It's just it has a lower score. But yeah, this one's cool. Score of 78. In 11th place is the Ubique Dual. $649, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, I think this has like an NH35. No brand heritage, but yeah, charging a lot more than that Glycine. Cool looking hands. A lot of unique elements to the design here. The hours on the outside. You also have the minutes. It's a dual purpose and a dual time. That's probably why it's called the Dual. Oh, that's cool. The date cutout. The border here looks so nice. Okay, so I understand why you're paying more. There's a lot of really cool design elements to this. I scored it with a silicone because you can order it with a silicone strap. That means this bracelet doesn't have an extension. Oh, very thin on this one too. As thin as the Glycine. Well, it's only 200 meters water resistance. But, okay, so this is one of the wild cards as well. This will be in the runoff at the end. They have a lot of different colors here. This one, oh, I said high contrast. This should have the low contrast penalty. One of these color combos has high contrast. Maybe the black one. So that would be the one to go with for this score of 78. Because low contrast is like a 3-point penalty. This minute hand is invisible. I mean, you can kind of see it in this light. Some lights, you're just not going to see the darn minute hand when you have a silver hand on a white dial. So that's bad. I do like these multi-feature bezels, though. That is really cool to have. And it gets rewarded in the score, of course. Oh, here's the lume. Kind of minimalist on the bezel, actually. Looks fantastic, though. And I love, love, love when they mix green and blue lume. It just gets me every time. I love that they do that. Fantastic. Thank you, Ubique. I don't know if you'll stick around a long term, but right now, people can buy your watch. So if you really like this thing, maybe pick one up. I mean, that's the fun of micro brands, is you get unique looks. You can get something different, usually with pretty high quality. Yeah, micro brands are fun. Here's a micro brand, Raven. Yeah, I like micro brands. I think that's, the word evolution is overused, but there's a changing over time of my watch collecting. People start out, at least I started out, just buying Chinese watches, cheap Chinese watches to dip my toes in. I'm kind of in the micro brand phase right now, where I'm really enjoying different things, micro brands. And I know at some point I'm going to graduate to like, I want to narrow down the collection and have just a few really strong pieces. You know, people change over time, and that's probably what will happen. But the micro brand phase is fun. You get fun, unique watches. Score 78. In 12th place is the Proxima PX1703 PT5000. Okay, that's the movement. $267, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. PT5000 is essentially a clone of that 2893, but it's a Chinese clone. I'll tell you a tiny amount of what I know about the PT5000. They're made in different places. You have to be careful. They cost a lot more than like a Seiko NH35 or a Miyota. But it's this weird thing where it's like, is it worth the extra money? Watch what other people have to say about it who've actually had one. I don't feel informed enough on the topic to recommend to you, like, get a PT5000 or don't get a PT5000. Just research it is what I'm saying. That's what you should do. This is cool here on the bezel. You've got triangles and squares and slashes all mixed together. It's kind of cool. Proxima does different things. This one's called the Avocado. It's fitting. And full lume on the bezel looks very pale though. Yeah, I don't think that's going to last very long. It's going to be fun when you charge it up. And that's pretty much the case with all lume. It's fun when you charge it up and it fades pretty quickly. That's been my experience even with really, really strong lumed watches. It's like, most of the time, if it's dark and I want to look at my watch, I'm not going to be able to see it unless it's tritium lume. That's just the reality of the situation. If I charge it up, sure, then I can see it and have fun or whatever. You're going to have to charge it up with a flashlight. Apparently there is a bracelet extension, and apparently it's really thin too, 11.5. Score of 78. In 13th place is the Heron Marinor. $670, 39 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. Very cool looking watch. I forget what color this is. They have a black, they have, I don't know if this is all the colors. I think there's a few more. Oh yeah, there's like a bright blue one, like a turquoise. I think this is the best color. I like this kind of like star announcing the birth of Jesus, whatever that's called. Natal star. That's looking cool. I don't know if these are Christians and they're trying to do a Christ thing. I don't think they are, but it looks cool on there. And it's loomed. That star thing is loomed. I like that. Very thin strips of lume on these slashes here on the bezel. Those will fade pretty quickly, I'm assuming. But again, lume is for fun. So you charge that thing up, you're going to like looking at it. It's aesthetically pleasing. Cool case shape. Brushing looks nice on this picture here. Cool option. I included it as a wild card for the final runoff. Total score 77. In 14th place is the Glycine Combat Sub 36mm. $511, 300 meters water resistance. And here's the brown one. They have a bunch of colors. I think the red looks really good on this one. AR anti-reflective coating, Swiss movement, only 11 thick. That is absurdly thin. Crazy thin. Let's look at that lume. Yes! Blue and green. This is looking fantastic. Nice big chunk of lume on the second hand. Glycine makes a solid watch. They just do. And there's a lot of value there. They don't cost all that much money. Glycine is a great brand in this kind of mid-range. Yeah, definitely consider Glycine. Swiss movement. Yeah. And you get your military markings on the dial. That's kind of nice. Total score of 77. In 15th place is the Islander ISL 21. $329, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. There's probably more colors than this than you can get in this, like, is that a Willard? I can't remember. This kind of Seiko case shape. Or is it SKX case shape? I think it's an SKX case shape. Yeah, there's other colors. They seem really good, actually. It's only 38 millimeters, great size. Dots all the way around. Lume is actually really nice on this, too. You have bezel lume, dial lume. Looks good. Maybe a sapphire cover for the bezel. I'm speculating. If so, that's really sweet, so you don't scratch the bezel. Yeah, this is cool. And you get a day. I think this is the first one we've seen with the day complication. It's actually kind of nice to have. I like that. And it gets a bonus. Get a couple points for that day. Sapphire crystal. Yeah, this is a good option. No bracelet extension. As I mentioned earlier, Mark has not cracked the code on that yet. Total score of 77. 16th place is the Certina DS Action 34.5. $458, 34.5 millimeters, 300 meters water resistance. Yeah, if you really want a small one, this is a fantastic choice. Under 35 millimeters. Very small population size that are under 35 millimeters. Crazy. It's a quartz movement, as you'd expect. It's hard to get movements that small. Well, okay. Yeah, there's those peacock movements. Those are very small. Okay, this one is a quartz movement. Really cool looking dial. You can get this in pink if you like. I think this is the best looking one for a man. 300 meters water resistance, so it's legit. And very thin. Oh yeah, it's a quartz movement. Let's take a look at that lume. Very nice. Well, it's a cool shot they have with like the stars in the background. But yeah, the lume pip is kind of small. Totally decent lume. I'm just pleased to see decent lume on a small watch like this. Usually there's like shortcuts made. This seems solid, and Certina's a big brand, and yeah, this seems like a great choice. Nice, usable crown size. Total score 77. 17th place is the Baltic Aquascaf Bronze. $673, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Lume on all these little things around the bezel, so that's cool. I like that they're doing. Is it a sandwich style? No, it says printed indices. It's not a sandwich style, but it has a sandwich look. Like that Panerai style look where the numbers don't connect fully. It's cool. The 3 is very unique. There's a lot of style to this. Even though it's just plain fence post hands here, it's got cool style. It's not too loud. It's kind of buttoned up. Yeah, at least how it looks now, it looks very classy. That bronze is going to turn brown a little bit. You can always spruce it up with a little bit of lemon, so you don't have to worry, you can make it look like this again. Any bronze watch, it's not that big a deal to spruce it up. I like the Baltic. The logo's nice. Looks good. And it's going to be one of the wild cards at the end, so we'll see how it does at the end. Total score 76. 18th place, the Traska Seafarer. $660, 39 across, and 150 meters water resistance. It's the lowest water resistance we've seen so far. It seems to be popular with some of these like internal rotating ones. They'll do 150 for whatever reason. But yeah, internal rotating bezel, it might be the first one of those we've seen as well. Bezel is very minimalist though. I would prefer for there to be a few more slashes. It's tough when you do the internal thing. It's like, it kind of looks like it's all one dial, so you have to distinguish the regular chapter ring from like the internal rotating bezel. Makes the design a little bit harder in some ways. They did a good job on this Traska. It looks really cool. It's a good look. I like these long, like the candy bar thing here. Looking like Panerai Submersible here. These borrowing from that design element. Yeah, and this thing, the dot with the line, that's sort of like the Ubique did that as well, and Serica does that. A lot of these are doing the dots with the long line thing. Okay, so that's something they share. This is cool, like this Gordian knot thing they've got going on. I like that. All right, let's look at the lume. Lume is good. This is on the mint one, but they all have the same lume. Looks good. No date though. Oh, the Baltic had no date as well. Yeah, sometimes these micro brands do no date. I think a date is better because you're gonna wear the watch to the office most likely. That's mostly what you're gonna be wearing it for, is around town, in the office, whatever. It's an everyday watch. It's not. You're not a diving professional wearing your Traska Seafarer, most likely. I mean, if you do, that's fine, but most of the time you're gonna wear it around town and stuff. So it's nice to have the date. Apparently there is a bracelet extension. It's going to be a wild card. Score 76. 19th place is the Tissot C-Star 1000. 36mm. Nice small one from Tissot. Yeah, I just didn't realize there's so many small watches. There really are a lot of them. This one is ultra thin, under 10 millimeters. Crazy. Like in the entire dive market, as far as I'm aware, this is like the thinnest one except for that Nove Trident. I think that's what it's called. That's like 6.9 millimeters or something. This is very thin. No lume on the bezel though. That is a disappointment. So substandard lume, unfortunately. That's too bad. Otherwise, really cool though. And it is a quartz though, so you're going to see it hitting these marks here, or missing the marks. Just doing once a second. Total score 76. 20th is the Aquatico Dolphin. 299 bucks, 38 millimeters, 300 meters water resistance. I like a lot about this watch. The hour hand is the one thing I would change. I would definitely change that hour hand. This bezel is cool though. The steel bezel. There's actually not very many watches that have a steel bezel insert, and this is one of them. I think it's a good choice. Ton of color options. Not particularly thick. Good price. You get crown guards, 300 meters water resistance, 38 millimeters, good size. Yeah, there's a lot going for the Aquatico. The lume looks pretty nice on this as well. Decent lume. Main thing that would hold me back is this Mercedes thing. I don't like that it just chose the Rolex handset, or at least for the hour hand. I would like the hour hand to be different. Other than that, this is a really cool option. No extension on the bracelet though. That's something to keep in mind. It's not a deal breaker, not the end of the world. But there it is. Total score 76. 21st place is the Seastern 62 Moss. I don't know if that's what they call it, but that's what it is. 140 bucks. Okay, under 200 bucks. 37 millimeters. Also nice and small. 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, it's basically just the 62 Moss. San Martin makes one, and we'll see that shortly. Lume is looking great. You get a lume date, which is really cool. Lume dates are pretty rare. Pretty darn rare to have a lumed date disc. So that's cool. Yeah, the 62 Moss case shape is so darn cool. The skin diver thing, fully lume bezel. I mean, it's just a homage. If you can stand the name Seastern, I think this is a good one. It's very thick though, 14.5. Yeah, and that's pretty common in dive watches. In this video, just looking at these small dive watches, they're all like 12.5 millimeters or 10 or 9. I mean, crazy thin watches. This is more typical of what you see in this kind of price range. The Seiko NH35, just a thicker watch. 14.5 is thick though. It's definitely thick. So that's the main downside to this one. But I chose it as a wild card, so it'll be in the final runoff. Total score 76. 22nd place, the Beaufort Sea Trekker. 649 bucks, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Internal rotating bezel. Good looking lume. Seems all right. I don't know why they have the minutes on the inside track though. I guess it's okay. It's just the minute hand's going to cover it. Like when it's 10 minutes, it's covering it. That's why normally you have the minutes at the end on the outside so you can still see what it is. Yeah, you shouldn't have the hand covering the numbers, in my opinion. But it seems like a cool watch. Total score 76. In 23rd place is the Maine Hudson MK4. Mark IV, what am I saying? 649 bucks, 38 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. Cool looking bracelet, kind of normal looking case shape. I like the bezel, it is looking really cool. I like the red triangle. The red and the black is so good. I mentioned this in the main video. I mentioned it over the summer that the black, they did a great job with the color here. It looks really nice. Let's look at the lume. It's okay, but there's none on the bezel. So substandard lume on this actually, in terms of what is loomed. And then just kind of, yeah, these are all a little bit thin. I didn't give it a penalty or anything. It's not as egregious as some other ones in terms of the thickness of the hands. It's a really cool looking watch. The dial looks really nice too. Look at that dial. That is really good. I love the beveled date window here. Nice. Seems like it has a domed crystal as well. Nice and thin as well. Total score 75. In 24th place is the Le Forban Brestois. 530 bucks, 39 millimeters, 150 meters water resistance. Yeah, I mean, it's a C grade. C grade on this thing. It's suitable for your diving needs. Not top of the class by any means. Huge triangle on this minute hand. That's interesting. Lume is looking good. I like the loomed border to the date window. That's fairly uncommon too. It was super uncommon. Maybe a couple watches that ever do this. So that's really cool. If you're a Francophile, here's a French watch. That's looking cool. Sécurité Mère. Like it. Neat option. Score of 75. 25th place, the NSB Canaveral. $697. 38 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. Exact copy of the Rolex Submariner case here, it appears. But that's the only thing they copied, pretty much. Oh, and the bezel. The color is different handsets, all these sorts of things. It's like a seagull counterbalance on the second hand. That's cool. And look at the lume plot on the second hand. That is unique as well. You really don't see that where it's like a metal, but then they have inlaid little strip of lume. That's really neat. And then the Venetian blind pattern here on the dial. There's some other interesting colors. The colors are very interesting, just unusual. You don't really see colors like this very often. This beige color is cool. I mean, it's not something people go looking for, like, I really want a beige watch. It just doesn't even occur to you. So neat that they do that. They're doing their own thing. It's not like there's a huge demand, I would think, for a beige watch, but here's one. And you get a Swiss movement. Great lume. Fully lume bezel. The lume looks great. Total score 75. 26th place is the Steinhardt Ocean 39. Ocean 1, it says. Submersible. Oh my gosh, there's 1,000 lines of text. $539. 39 millimeters, 300 meters water resistance. There are a lot of variations of the Steinhardt 39 millimeter. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not that excited about it, so I'm not going to talk about it that much. Lume looks okay. It's just like standard lume. Kind of just a standard looking watch. Obviously, copying Rolex Submariner. Aluminum bezel insert. There's the Steinhardt. Score 75. In 27th place is the Islander Greenport ISL 251. $279. 39 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. Same hour hand as that Maine Hudson. It's kind of like Eiffel Tower like shape to it, to the hands. I like the vertical day. You don't see that all that often. I mean, this is really cool. The date disc with this teal and orange. Man, you're not going to find another watch with a teal and orange date wheel. Very cool. Lume is decent. The shot really doesn't probably do it justice, but you do get a fully lumed bezel. It's a dual time bezel, so it's most suitable for tracking time in an alternate zone. That's really what you use this for. You can still time things with it just using the triangle, but it's really more for dual time. So it doesn't get as high a score as like a traditional dive bezel. It still has utility, obviously, and it does fulfill an everyday function people have, which is keeping track of different time zones and stuff. So that's cool. No bracelet extension, as I mentioned, on these Islanders. Yeah, cool option. Total score 74. 28th place is the Signum Cuda Standstone 38.5. $369, 38.5 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Let's look at the lume. That's Signum's strong suit. Boom shakalaka. Lume for days. This looks so cool. Yeah, lume is primarily just to make you smile when you look at it in the dark. This is totally going to make you smile. Fantastic lume. I had a Signum Cuda, and the lume was amazing on it. Just totally amazing. The sandstone dial is quite unique as well. I like that. Looking really good. No extension on the bracelet. The clasp was kind of lame, I'll be honest, on my Signum Cuda. Crown guards down here are looking good. Score of 73. 29th place is the Block 33. $189. 38 millimeters across. Sorry, 33. 33 millimeters across, 100 meters water resistance. Yeah, it's a kid's watch. You know, the thing that they do is these blocks of time on the bezel, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, as just a big chunk of time. That's really cool. And then also like the 12, because kids get confused about how the hour hand has like passed beyond the 12 and they're confused. Well, these blocks help to show visually how it actually works. So I really do appreciate that. I think that's really nice. I haven't seen another kid's watch do that. And it's a screw down crown. You often don't see that on, it's rare to see a screw down crown on a kid's watch. That's really nice. Probably not going to get water damaged. Man, Swiss movement in the biggest letters you've ever seen. Okay, so they're really trying to bank off that. It's just going to be a Ronda or something. I don't get too excited over Swiss quartz, to be honest, but it's there. No date on it. Barely squeaking in, and that's because with this version they have lume. The last one did not. But yeah, this one has lume on the bezel and the hour and minute. No second lume. That's in here somewhere. Yeah. Or lumed hands only. Yeah, because the dial lume, there's no lume on the dial. Cool option, something you should be aware of if you're a parent though. It is too expensive though. My daughter wants one of these a bunch, but she never wears a cheaper watch I gave her. So I'm not going to get her this $200 watch when she just hates having something on her wrist. Like, it's a no-go. Too much money. If it was cheaper, I'd buy it, give it a try, see if she actually likes it. She really likes the pink one, how it looks. That's a lot of money. That's one downside of the block watch, is it is quite a lot. Total score of 73. In 30th place is the San Martin 62 Moss. $166, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, I think the C-Stern is better. I'll show you the lume and you'll see why. Yeah, just normal lume on this one, kind of standard dive lume, whereas that C-Stern had the full bezel lume and it had a lume date. So this one's not as cool as the C-Stern. Maybe better quality though. Pretty similar prices though, both under $200. This one you get a silicone strap. Oh, the other one you did too. This one is a lot thinner though. It's only 13 millimeters thick. Actually, maybe this is the way to go. I really like lume, so yeah, the C-Stern appears to have better lume, so that's why it edges out for me. But maybe you like this one better. The color is really nice. This blue is looking really good. Is that a steel blue? What do they call that? I'm not sure. Looks really good. The 62 Moss is a really cool design. And if you want to get the Seiko, it's like $2,000. And it's JDM. Score 73. 31st place is the Hamilton Navy Scuba Quartz. $595, 37 millimeters across, 100 meters water resistance. Starting to get to the end of the passing grades. Quartz movement on this, that's something to be aware of. $600 for a quartz. That seems like too much to me. But it's thinner due to that quartz movement. Lume is just kind of average. It's probably going to be okay. You do get the military here, but no date. They should have a date on this, in my opinion. Score of 73. 32nd place, the Borealis Bull Shark V2. $495, 38 millimeters, 300 meters water resistance. You've got honeycomb pattern on the dial. It's a little bit intense for me, but there it is. White bezel insert. Those are rare. I like a white bezel insert. I should take all these like rare, cool things and amalgamate them to one just super weird watch. I like the white bezel insert. That looks good. Mercedes hands, get out of here. Borealis, if they didn't do... They have a really cool GMT as well. I think they have a true GMT. But they just copy the Rolex. That's unfortunate. Guys, stop copying Rolex. Just like copy aspects of the Rolex, but not this darn Mercedes hand. It's tacky. That's what it is. The Mercedes hand is tacky. Because that's Rolex's trademark, in my opinion. Do something else. Here's the lume. Pathetic pip. That pip looks bad. Score of 73. Okay, the first one I don't recommend. 33rd place is the Selton Savage Bronze. $629. 39 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. Beautiful. So beautiful. Is this a stone dial and they cut holes in it? Like, what kind of engineering does that take? Like, this is really cool. Submersible style double candy bar thing at the 12. I really like this. It looks, and the bronze I'm sure is going to be beautiful. They took a really artsy shot. Kind of a matte bezel insert here. The Fotina looks nice. The green one is really cool too. It's a looker for sure, but not recommended specs wise. Lume is good, and you know, I think it just has a Seiko NH35 in it, but there's no date, no crown guards, only 200 meters water resistance. I mean, that's fine for most of these. Like, they still can get a good grade with 200 meters. There's just a lot of little things that add up on this one. A little bit thicker than average, actually. Total score of 72. 34th place, the Phoibos Voyager. $309, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. And this one, if you swap it off that strap, it's recommended. So, color match date wheel is looking cool. I love these indexes. That looks so cool. The logo for Phoibos is absolutely on fire to me. I love that octopus. I want to get one of their watches just so I can have an octopus on my wrist. I actually think that's really cool. The dual time bezel is nice. Fully loomed. Loom looks good. Border date window looks nice. The yellow, it appears to just be really bright, but also matte. Get these Arabic numerals around the dial. Score of 72, but you can get it up to a 75 if you swap out the strap. So that's why it's recommended. 35th place is the Hemel Sea Dart. $500, 39 millimeters, 300 meters water resistance. Very few of these that have individual minute marks up to the 30, and then it stops and you don't get it after the 30. Weird choice. It's got kind of an aviation little 369 thing going on. This text is too big here. That should be a lot smaller. The 300 meters thing, it looks weird. There's something off about this whole thing. It's not really gelling. It's not very cohesive design, I'll be honest. Here's the loom. Very tiny loom on the second. That'll fade very quickly. But it's nice that you have it. Still gets points for having loom on the second. I think that's important for a dive watch so you can see that it's running still. Total score of 72. Oh, no date too. Yeah, and again, you have to swap off the bracelet to be recommended under my scoring system. 36th is the Dufresne Travis. $699. 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Very minimalist bezel here. It's for style, high points. Utility, low points here with that bezel. That's not very useful. Like at this point, just don't have anything. Just have the circle if you're going to do this thing, because I guess it tells us within 15 minutes. Yeah, it's just within 15 minutes that you're trying to time. It's like the block watch. You just get 15-minute increments that you're measuring. It tells you that, but people usually want to time things like to the minute, not to the 15 minutes. The loom looks really cool on this, though. Look at that. I like the loom. It's a very cool effect they have with this. That pleases me. And the orange, and then this blue, this aquamarine, whatever it is, great combination. It's a known pleasing combination of colors, so I like that. Not very thick. And it does have a Swiss movement in it, so that's nice. Score of 72. 37th is the Luminox Sea Turtle XS 0301.L. $200, 39 millimeters across, 100 meters water resistance. It has tritium, but only 6, 7, 8. Only 8 tritium tubes. That is poor. I put less than 14 tritium. Yeah, there's no bonus when you have so few tritium tubes. I think I would be disappointed with the loom. That's too bad. I don't know why Luminox does that. Other models have the full tubes, but some of these, they skimp out on you. Maybe some guys like that. I would not like that. I would be saddened by my watch being substandard. Plastic. Oh, it says forged carbon case. Okay, that's a lot fancier than plastic. Forged carbon has very high tensile strength. Plastic does not. Yeah, the main issue with this, the reason it's not passing, like if they did 200 meters water resistance and a screw down crown, it'd be an 82 instead of a 72. So that really hurts it. That's costing it a lot of points. It's just it's a dive style watch. It's not really a dive watch when you have the push pull in the 100 meters. Score 72, not recommended. 38th place, the Adina Amphibian. $530, 39 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. Crazy expensive for this bizarre watch. Proprietary triple lug thing. I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't know why it's so expensive. But there it is. You can buy one if you want to. From the description, there's no loom on the bezel, but the dial, all the elements are loomed that we can see. It's looking kind of 90s. Score 72. 39th is the Ratio Freediver 35. 35th of the ones I can recommend. Only $95. This is the first under $100 watch in the video. It's 35 millimeters, and maybe the last, I don't know. Yeah, only 35 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. Swap it off that bracelet, and I recommend this thing. Only 11 thick, 35 thin. It's crazy thin. Like if you're a woman or you have really small wrists, look at Ratio. This is an option for you. The hands are not ripping off Rolex. So I guess Armida has that 36 millimeter that's also not ripping off Rolex. So you have a few options. Yeah, compare Ratio to that Armida. I think Armida is better, honestly. But yeah, this is an option. It's an automatic movement. I think they make it in quartz as well. You save maybe $20 or something to get the quartz one. So that's another option. That's not separately scored. I think it would get a similar score. It's not hugely different. And other colors too. You can get a pink one if you want. Here's that lume, just standard lume. Looks pretty decent to me. Score of 71. In 40th place is the San Martin SN004G, $183, 38.5 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. It's Rolexy, Tudor-y looking, but it's not copying either one of those exactly. It's sort of Rolex hands on a Tudor style dial. I don't know. It definitely looks nice. Under my scoring system, not excelling though, not recommended for your dive watch needs. Lume is just average lume. If it had a date, it'd be recommended. It's holding it back. Score 71. In 41st place is the Boulder Venture Green Star, $449, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. This dull color indicates, well, that doesn't indicate it's titanium, but it is titanium. And being titanium, it's not going to be as shiny as steel. Kind of average thickness, kind of an average watch, but no date, unfortunately. Yeah, the bracelet doesn't have an extension either, so let's look at the lume. Lume looks great, full lume on the bezel, but no second lume. And that gets a penalty. I think 3 points off. I mentioned, the tool watch part of the dive watch means it's pretty important to have a running seconds that's illuminated so you can see it easily. Make sure your watch is running. At least historically, the way it's used. That lume on the second is extremely important. Maybe more important than like the hour hand or whatever. But there you go. Recommended if you swap the strap. Score of 71. 42nd place is the Seiko SRPK 35. People's Republic of Korea. Okay. $260, 38 millimeters across, 100 meters water resistance. Day date, cool orange color. I mean, it's okay, but it's barely scraping in. It's at the lowest possible C before you get to C minus if you swap it. So this is the last one I can possibly recommend. It looks really cool. I'll give it that. It's just 100 meters water resistance. It's more dive style. It's probably street style. They have their different styles. It's probably street style, not dive style. Yeah, no lume on the bezel. It's fallen behind in several ways. Thickness is good though, but it's only 100 meters, so it's not exactly like groundbreaking. Score 70. 43rd place, the Heim Descent, $625, 39 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. Got a multifunction bezel, but it's weird how they did it. 1503. It's you really have to think about what am I looking at here? When you see the 03 and it's over something, you're gonna be like, what is that? So they did it in a weird way. The lume looks cool lume, but no lume on the bezel. No lume on the second hand either. Those two things are why it's not recommended as a dive watch. Score 70. 44th place is the Invicta Pro Diver 9177. $120. The smallest dive watch in the whole video this is the one. It's 24.5 millimeters. Super small. I routinely wear a 50. Well, I don't wear it all that often, but I wear a 50 millimeter dive watch. And it would be like two of these, without the crown or whatever. It'd be like two of these on the wrist at once. So this is tiny. I give it a -6 for the. I think two of these points are for the steel. So -4 for the size, because steel, the weight of steel compared to other materials, it could still be okay. The problem with Invictas is they're just not all that great. Yeah, lume looks disappointing. It's standard lume. You do get second lume. It's just kind of disappointing. It's a mediocre watch, but it's also really small. So that's, it's quartz, no bracelet extension. It's getting a lot of penalties. Score 69. 45th place, the Imperial Watch Company Royal Guard 200. $450, 38 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. They're routinely sold out of stuff. But they come back. I think there's a newsletter or whatever. You can actually purchase them. You just may not be able to get the exact configuration you want. They do kind of keep very low production numbers. To keep from going bankrupt, people get upset about these micro brands. They're like, they should make more. Well, it's a huge risk to make a ton of watches. So, and sometimes for whoever's doing these, it's like a hobby. And they don't really want to ruin their family financially by buying all these watches that nobody ever gets. So, please be nice to the micro brands who don't make a ton of watches. They're, it's not their job to make a billion watches for everybody. They don't want to expose themselves to too much financial risk. But this is a cool watch. I love how the triangle on the hand is like the same as this. I bet when it passes over, it goes right on top of that. That's really cool. I do like that. It's a very stylish watch, but I don't recommend it. Let's look at the lume. Lume looks okay. Yeah, there is second lume too. Score 68. In 46th place is the Hoosen Diver, $285, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. And another one that's just, it's not making the cut. I couldn't find a lume shot of it, but per description, nothing on the bezel. This is just printing, regular printing. There's no lume. It doesn't do it for me. I mean, the case is cool. I do like the case. It's got an integrated bracelet look. I do like that. But no extension on the bracelet. Score 68. 47th place is the Laurier Neptune, $499, 39 across, 200 meters water resistance. 12.7 thick, so not too thick. Now, I think they advertise it something absurdly small, like 10.1 or something. Like, they have this humongous dome crystal. So, in the other video, it may have been, like, recommended with strap swap. But this time I figured out, hey, they're kind of cheating on their thickness. So this is correct here. It's almost 13 thick. So just like average size. Yeah, it's okay. I like the gilded. I like gold with black. I love that look. The look of it is fantastic. Just not the best dive watch. Here's that lume. Lume is decent. Lume is maybe better than average. Total score of 67. 48th place is the Vostok Amphibia 570597, $150, 37 millimeters across, 100 meters water resistance. You would not want to keep it on the bracelet. That looks garbaggio. The whole thing looks very weird. They may have chromed it. It says steel case. Sometimes the Vostoks are brass that is just chromed. You do have full minute hashes all the way around. That's nice. Small second, that's cool. You don't see a lot of small second complications on dive watches. All right, let's look at the lume. Cool lume. You can get the watch at Marinome, as you can see by this watermark. Only 100 meters water resistance, not recommended. Next is the RLG Odyssey, $429, 39 across, 200 meters water resistance. And again, just not making the cut. This one's actually fairly thick. And there is the lume shot. Total score 67. 50th place is the Yema Navy Graph Marine Nationale Femme. $314, 34 millimeters across. Wow, that is Femme. 100 meters water resistance. 330 feet, yeah. That's not good. I love the color though. This dark navy blue with the, kind of gold. That looks really good. I like that. I love the anchor on here, Marine Nationale. That's all cool. I love the white bezel even. Yeah, specs wise, it's not measuring up. Very thin too. But yeah, 100 meters. That's why it's thin. It's a quartz as well. That helps it be thin. Lume looks decent, but none on the bezel. They'd have to change a few things for this to be recommended. Score 65. 51st place is the Avant Tropic Diver 39, $539, 39.5 millimeters, 300 meters water resistance. Beautiful dial, humongous indices. I like that. They did like a glycine thing here. That's cool. But they give you the triangle. Lume is fantastic on this. That is not its weak spot. It has no minute hashes on the dial, so you can't tell. Like right now, is it 10:07 or 10:08? It's kind of in between. I don't honestly know. And that's the issue when you don't have the minute marks. Score 65. 52nd place is the Flu FX001, $499, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Skin diver case shape, accented orange minute hand. I love the accented orange minute hand. Got a little dive flag thing. It's cool. You'd think it would do great. Standard lume, it just did not excel. Push-pull crown, there you go. And I have to go with the product listings. It's kind of an obscure watch. They don't say that the crown screws down, so not good. Technically, it can go to 200 if nothing pulls the crown out. Screwing it down, all it does is it just makes it so it can't accidentally come out underwater. You have to work at it to get an issue. But for actual diving, that's kind of what you want. You want it to screw down. You don't want this push-pull nonsense. So that's the biggest vulnerability on a dive watch, is the crown. So you need it to screw down tight. Score of 63. 53rd place is the About Vintage 1926 At Sea. $399, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Really cool style on this. I do like that a lot. It actually has a sandwich dial. These are cut out. That is really cool. Love the teardrop or guitar pick, whatever this is, at 12 and 6. Bezel looks cool. It's not making the cut. It is a quartz movement as well, so that's kind of odd for $400. Does look cool though. Oh, and here's that lume. Poor lume, it looks like. Or they just didn't charge it up enough. Score 62. 54th place is the Vostok Amphibia 420059. $130. 39.6 millimeters. Really stretching it there to even be in the video. 200 meters water resistance. This is one of the ones that was on Teddy's list as the top 21 dive watches that are small. I say it's one of the bottom small dive watches. I think this is a poor dive watch. I have a Vostok Komandirski. I really like that one. The Komandirskis are better than the Amphibias. They cost more and they're better. Here's the lume. Lume is poor. No bezel lume. Bezel is poor too. No numbers on it. And they're bidirectional. There's friction fit. 15 thick. It's very thick. Yeah, this is it's just not that great. I'm sorry. I don't know why. It's charming. It doesn't cost very much. It has a character all of its own. Those are all good reasons to get it. I'm not saying don't get the watch. I'm saying objectively, it's not top of the class. Score 61. 55th place is the Alpina Comtessa. $349, 36 across. One of the few 36s. 60 meters water resistance. 60? It's not a dive watch. That's the issue with this one, is it's just not a dive watch. It looks like a dive watch, but it is not. At 60 meters, it's not. Even the Blanc Pond that people were like, what the heck? The 92, the Swatch one. People were saying that's not really a dive watch. This one really isn't at 60. So that's really why it's failing. Let's look at the lume. Per description, it says everything's loomed with the second hand. Yeah, I don't know about that. It looks like there's little jewels here. If anything's loomed, it's probably just the hands. So you should probably get even lower score. Maybe the 3, 9, 12 are loomed. Yeah, it's really not an actual dive watch. Score 51. 56th place is the Naval Watch Company. FRXB 002. $193. 38 millimeters across. And again, it's just not a dive watch at 50 meters. So I guess maybe you could sort of use it as a field. It'd be a bad field watch too. I don't know what this is for. They need to beef this up. And they say it on there, water resist 5 bar. Bro, just tighten that up. And they have the broad arrow. This is a Japanese thing. They shouldn't have the British broad arrow. They're not British. So there's problems with the watch, for sure. And it is a quartz. Very expensive. But it looks cool. It definitely looks cool. Only 38 millimeters. Let's look at the lume. I don't have a lume shot. I just have description. No second lume. Yeah, see, no second lume. Score 50. 57th place, the Loris Sports Dive Style. RRX 89 FX9. $44. The cheapest. 36 millimeters across. 50 meters water resistance. It says in the description that bezel does not turn. So it's not a dive watch. For a couple reasons. Push-pull crown, 50 meters, no rotating bezel. It cannot come back from that, no matter how much everything else is good. Those things disqualify it from being a recommended dive watch. Per description, the hands and indices are loomed, and it looks like that's true. Not the numbers, but just these things on the outside. Score of 45. And in last place, the worst dive watch in this list is the Timex Q Malibu. $199. 36 across, 50 meters again, water resistance. And yeah, that really hurts it, but there's a lot of other stuff that hurts it too. Yeah, that elastic bracelet has a humongous penalty. Elastic bracelets are no good. But yeah, I do have a lume shot for this. It was not easy to find, but there's the lume shot for the Timex Q Malibu. Enjoy. And that was the last one in this price range. All right, so those were all the small dive watches under $700. There's some really cool stuff. That Seiko is obviously a standout, but there's a lot of other standouts too. If you want to get a watch in this price range, there are good options. There are definitely good options. Even the Armida, I think that's suitable. Glycine Combat, that's a great option. We're going to see. So this one only had 5, 6, 7 good grade watches. There's going to be more good grade watches above $700. So that's kind of to be expected because we'll have more Swiss movements, that sort of stuff, extra protections. A lot of cool ones in this price range, though. You've got a lot of options. All right, now let's move on to the next price category, over $700. All right, small dive watches over $700. Let us just start at the top. Let's start with number 5. In 5th place is the Triton Spirotechnique Sport. $5,625. 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, that's kind of jarring. Oh man, we went from $200 up to 5,000. Yeah, I just divided it in half. So yeah, this is probably on the upper end. It's a fancy watch, very fancy. My goodness, yeah, it's got this cool cover thing. I'm calling it a locking lever because when it's on your wrist, it's basically like that crown is just locked down. You see this little cover over the top. This articulating piece fully envelops that crown, protecting it from blows, protecting it from being unscrewed, which is what a locking lever does as well. So that's great. There's the lume. Yellow lume, or white, C1 possibly. But there it is. Look at that huge pip on the end of the second hand. That's good. It's a perfectly suitable watch. It's just extremely expensive. I don't know why it is so darn expensive. It's very charming looking. Great thickness, thinner than average. Fantastic. AR coating. Yeah, this is a quality watch. Score of 85. In 4th place is a micro brand people love here is the Serica 5303. $1,610, 39 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. Yeah, these lugs are actually pretty common. I've seen a bunch of other ones that have these kind of lugs. Looks great on the Serica. I definitely like that. They make a black and a blue and the white, and one of them has this like teal bezel insert thing. I forget which one that is. Yeah, multi-feature bezel. You get your hours and your minutes. I prefer when the hours are on the outside and the minutes are on the inside. It makes a little more sense that way, because the minute hand is what you're going to be using for precision, whereas the hour hand, the hour number doesn't have to be as precise. It's the same reason why the hour hand is shorter than the minute hand. It's going to be easy to tell what hour it is. Minutes are much smaller increments on the dial, so you need more precision. So these should be swapped with each other, definitely. Let's look at the lume. Lume is okay. They didn't turn off the lights, so it's hard to tell, which is unfortunate. But lume seems like it's all right. No date on this, unfortunately. It is a chronometer. It's the first chronometer we've seen. That gives it a bonus, absolutely. I think it gets a 2-point bonus over a non-chronometer. Costs a lot of money to do a chronometer, so that's something that happens. Yeah, I like the red. It's very cool. Charming watch. Steel mesh. Okay, I have the wrong picture up here. You can get it on steel mesh, which steel mesh has a lot of adjustment to it, so that's really convenient. Score of 86. In 3rd place, this is a fantastic one. The Leica Mojave 39. $1,007. Whenever I did this thing, the exchange rate changes all the time. 39 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. And this is a viable darn dive watch that I didn't know about. Okay, let me show you the coolest thing about this. Boom! Look at that orange lume. Yes. Orange lume is something you only usually see on micro brands. Okay, well there's the Leica Mojave 39. Does Omega do orange lume? I don't think they do. They should though. They should have orange lume. Yeah, this might be the only mainstream brand that does orange lume. I'm not thinking of it this exact moment, but there might be other brands that do orange lume. So cool. You get your numbers here. You get your minute Arabics as well. You get the sector dial. The hands are not too thin. I think these are suitable. It's very easy to read. Very crisp and clean. German watches are always very easy to read, which I appreciate. You get the countdown. This is a good one. Only 13 thick. Score of 87. In 2nd place is the Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean 39.5. $7,100. 39.5 millimeters across, 600 meters water resistance. So the Omega conundrum is, once you go up to $7,000, why don't you just get a Rolex? That's what comes to my mind. Omegas are thick, 14.2. They're always thicker than other ones. Although this is a 600 meter dive watch. So that actually probably is pretty good for that depth rating. I should have printed out the darn list of depth ratings to see if, because the thicknesses depend on the depth rating. It always gets thicker as they get deeper. So let's take a look at the lume. You've got a mix of green and blue lume. They did not turn the lights off. Full minute marks all the way around the dial with these little dashes. That's convenient. It has a helium escape valve. This might be the first watch we've seen with a helium escape valve. That gets it a little bonus. It has an extension on the bracelet. It's a solid choice. And it is technically under 40 millimeters. I think it'd be better if it was a 38, obviously, but there you go. And it's a chronometer. It's coaxial as well. Score of 88. In first place, the number one dive watch, over $700. That's small, that's under 40 millimeters, is the ZRC Étanche Grand Fonds GF38. It's $3,391. 39 millimeters, even though it says GF38, ignore that. That means nothing that I can tell. It's 39 millimeters. 300 meters water resistance. You know, that might be the year they came out with it or something. I apologize for my ignorance on that fact about the watch. Why is it called the GF38? Grand Fonds is why it's GF, I would assume. Cool date window here. I think it's roulette, meaning alternating black and red. The main feature is this 6 o'clock crown. Very unusual. Somewhat protected here by the bracelet around it. I've heard these are kind of difficult. They're a little bit tricky to use. It's possible to kind of get it messed up a little bit with the bracelet. So just be careful. If you own one of these, you probably know what I'm talking about. Let's take a look at the lume. There's the lume shot. I had the hardest time finding this lume shot. It was really difficult. I found a guy on Watch Crunch who actually owns one of these, and I asked him how's the lume, and he sent me a lume shot. So I'll show you that here because that was really nice of him to show me the lume shot. It's a beautiful watch. Very unique looking, totally distinctive. 26 rubies, automatique, all this cool stuff. It does not need a helium escape valve, so it actually gets a higher score than the Omega for the valve situation because they just designed it in such a way that the crystal's not going to pop out if helium is introduced. Or that helium just can't even get it in the first place. It's one of those two things. But when a watch does that, that's even better than the valve because you can make mistakes with the valve, especially when it's manual like the Omega one is. It's about average thickness, actually, for 300. There is an extension on that bracelet, so that's nice. And it's the top score. Didn't get to an A grade, though. It didn't even get to an A-. It's still just a B+. That's the highest score we have, the highest raw score. In the main video, there were a bunch of watches that got up to the A grades. Once you limit the population to only under 40, you cut out a lot of those really heavy-hitting watches that were getting the A grades. All right, those were the top 5. Let's go on to the rest of them now. In 6th place is a very cool one, the Perrin Regia X. Regia King? I don't know. $852, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. It's got really cool indices on here. I love these outline indices. They look so cool. The lume looks very cool. You do get lume on the second. It is a little bit scant. The hands are a little bit thin, but due to the really high contrast, I think this is okay. I did not give it the thin hands penalty. I think this is still legible enough, the way they did everything. 12 o'clock date is unusual, so that's something cool you get on this one. I actually really like that. It's very distinctive. It's multifunction, so you've got the minutes and the hours. But why did they do it this way? This is totally bizarre. You have dots up here with the hours, but then nothing here with the minutes. And I like that the minutes are on the inside. That's how it should be. I explained that before. But the dots should be with the minutes. The dots do nothing with the hours up here. So that's kind of weird. You'd probably get used to it. It's not that big a deal. Like you can tell this is 9 here. It's actually probably not a big deal at all, now that I think about it. Something a little bit unbalanced about the dial, in my opinion. Like maybe this name should be 1 point font bigger, and this should be a little lower or something. This is not seeming right to me. It's a minor issue. It looks really cool. The crown is actually pretty unique. It's got like a inverse cupcake crown. I like that. And it's a Swiss automatic movement that's been adjusted. So it gets pretty good accuracy points here. Score of 84. In 7th place is the Certina DS Action Diver. $970, 38 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. This is probably the least attractive colorway, but it's the only one with the NATO strap. The other ones have bracelets that don't have extensions, so this is the one that gets the highest score. I'll show you some of the other versions of it, though. It has a titanium case. That's kind of unique. It's a little bit more rare in these, the thing with these big brands is that they have higher overhead than micro brands, because they have to actually make all these watches, distribute them across in all these shops everywhere, and they never sell all of them, and it's more challenging. So they don't tend to do things like titanium. They tend to control the costs more tightly, is what it appears like to me. The prices are a lot higher, but they really control those costs. Anti-magnet. Powermatic 80 has a silicone balance spring, I believe. And so, yeah, you get anti-magnetic, like as good as it gets, basically. This is awesome. The lume on the Certina is good. It's not all that unique. It's kind of just copying Rolex a little bit. Like the bezel's straight Rolex. I mean, Rolex, I don't think Rolex has these little dots here under the numerals, but otherwise this is looking really Rolex to me with the bezel. But it is its own thing, technically. 970, that seems like a lot. It's just not very inspiring. It's a quality watch. Obviously, it's 84, score of 84. Quality watch, not very distinctive is all. Score of 84. In 8th place is the Blancpain 50 Fathoms Bathyscaphe 38. $10,200, 38 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. I think this is really boring. I don't understand the Blancpain 50 Fathoms Bathyscaphe 38. I just don't get it. It's a good watch. Specs-wise, it gets up there. I really don't get it. Lume is sort of unimpressive. It's got really tiny indices. That's not great. It's atypical on a dive watch. I think that's what's throwing me off. These indexes are really small. It's odd. Very thin, though. Strangely, because some Blancpains are huge. This one is not. Total score of 83. In 9th place is the Yema Superman Slim CMM 20. $2,490. 39 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. Again, they're trying to trick us with the thickness. They advertise something much thinner. It's actually 12.6 with this domed crystal. So it's slim, but it's 0.6 millimeters thicker than that Rolex. Millimeter thicker than the Glycine Combat 39. So it's slim is, I guess it's true. It is slim, but they're stretching it a little bit here. Micro rotor. Okay, so I think they have their own proprietary movement in here. It is Swiss. It is not a chronometer though. But yeah, it's got that micro rotor. That looks pretty cool, actually. Lume is good on this. Although the second lume is not going to last very long. It's just the tip of the needle is painted ever so slightly. It's not going to last very long. It looks really cool though. The bracelet looks fantastic. I really like the diamond pieces here. I bet it feels good too. They have a crown, what do they call this? Bezel lock. I gave it 4 points. 4 points for this bezel lock. It was one of those things where it's tool watch and everyday. And I leaned a little bit more to the tool watch side. Things like a bezel lock, they deserve extra points because when you're diving, you really don't want the bezel to move. And so many of these dive watches, the bezel will move for absolutely no reason. You brush up against anything and you're just touching something and then all of a sudden the bezel changes. So, if we're going to do the fantasy, we're going to do like the original purpose, it's awesome to lock that bezel down. This one has it. But you have to unseat the crown to do the bezel. So like a lot of these internal rotating bezels, you can't change it underwater. If you fiddle with that crown underwater, water's going to go in the watch. So you're just stuck with it when you dive in. And the thing they don't tell you about, talking about fantasy, I've heard with actual diving, you jump in the water, you're in the water for a while talking and whatever before you actually dive. So what, if you need to set this bezel to something, you're going to have to try to unscrew the crown in the water and then turn the bezel bobbing around and not get it wet while you're in the water and then tighten it down. So that's a little bit of the annoying reality. I don't know how useful this is in the real world, but it is nice. If you're timing something, you don't want it to move, whether you're on dry land or in the water. So at least it's going to be like whatever you set it at, you can be confident in that. And you can't say the same for a lot of other watches. It does have an extension on the bracelet. Score of 83. 10th place is a Longines Legend Diver. $3,000. This is the 39 millimeter version. They make a smaller one. It is 300 meters water resistance. Internal rotating bezel. Screw down. Exactly what I was talking about. Very hard to use in the water. The beauty of the traditional dive bezel is you can use it in the water. This one you cannot. Lume is abysmal. Horrible on this Longines Legend. It's garbage. Very confusing with the way they did these. Some of them are like way in from the other ones. It just looks like confusion. This pip is just horrible. Tiny, tiny outline. That's going to disappear in like 10 minutes. So that they've got to fix that. That's horrible. It should be filled in all the way, in my opinion. It's style over substance on this one. And tiny little squares of loom. You know, the earlier version of this, because like when you look for loom shots, you'll see ones where the numbers are illuminated, and I think you have full slashes here. Yeah, again, Longines is trying to control those costs, so they skimped out on the loom. How much are they saving on the loom? I don't know, $10 per watch or something. But in a company that probably, I have no idea how much loom costs. Are they saving $5 per watch on loom by giving you just horrible loom quality? I don't like that they did this. This is bad. It is a chronometer though. Yeah, it's weird. It's $3,000, but then they cheap out on you. It doesn't feel right to me. It does look very cool. Score of 83. In 11th place is the Tag Heuer Aqua Racer 300 meters. $3,450. 36 across. 300 meters water resistance. I like these Tag Heuers. I think they look cool. I think this is a Cyclops that's under the glass. I love how those look. I love this octagonal bezel, or dodecagonal bezel. Yeah, it's 12-sided. That's cool. Yeah, there's a pink one. The pink one doesn't have loomed indexes, though. Yes, look at the loom. They mixed the blue and the green. That looks really cool. Good job, Tag Heuer. Only 11.4 thick. Swiss Auto that's been adjusted. It's a cool dive watch. It even does have some crown guards here. Crown guards. Decent option. Totally decent. Especially if you want a small one. 36, like, you want a 36mm watch, this might be the best one to get. Well, we've got the Breitling Super Ocean. There's other options for sure, but this is a compelling one. Score of 82. In 12th place, it's the Marie Lacroix Aiken Venturer. $2,383. 38mm. That ideal size I'm looking for this particular video. 300 meters water resistance. Beautiful green. Sort of an AP Royal Oak kind of thing going on with this bracelet here. But they changed so much other stuff, I think it's fine. I don't think it's totally obvious that it's Royal Oak inspired. Well, okay, it kind of is. I don't know. It's a cool watch. I'm willing to forgive them this similarity to the Royal Oak. It's more of an homage rather than a rip-off. Only 12 thick. It's got a Swiss automatic movement in there. I don't remember which one. Slita 210, or I don't know what it is. Cool bezel. No other watch is doing this thing with these deals here that I can remember offhand. Sort of looking like the Star Wars Empire symbol with these 6 little ridges. The M is pretty cool. I like that, the symmetrical M with the little feet on the outside. Loom is solid, totally solid on this Marie Lacroix. Full loom bezel. Nice big chunk on the second hand. Yeah, this is. I know the Longines had a higher score. This one's better than the Longines when you consider everything. The red looks beautiful too. Yeah, that red looks really nice. Total score of 82. In 13th place is the Longines Legend Diver 36. 2,500, 36mm, 300 meters water resistance. Very similar to that other one. This one's just smaller. You actually do get a date on this one though. Oh, it says no date. All right, well this should be 2 points more because there's a date here. All right, I messed up the scoring. This should be an 84. Yeah, I'm not gonna change everything just for that, but yeah, this would have been an 84 in the top 10. Sorry about that. Loom again on this is abysmal. It's just bizarre. It looks totally weird. It doesn't make any sense why there's this huge hole here either. Look at all that space. Why couldn't they put any loom here whatsoever? Just put a dot or something. Like, it really feels like they're just cheaping out. Total score of 82. In 14th place is the Formex Baby Reef. $1,960. 39.5mm across. 300 meters water resistance. I know on the big reef, not the baby reef, you can buy different bezels, but they're very expensive. How much were they? I'll put it on the screen, however much they cost. Ridiculous how expensive they are, but that's how much they cost. But you can just pop them off and change them out. So that's kind of fun. You do have a color-matched negative display date wheel here. That is very cool. I like the crown guards and the symmetry here with the wing on the 9 o'clock side. Only 11 thick, that's great. There is an extension on the bracelet as well, so that's good. It's a chronometer. This may be the best in the Formex catalog. Oh no, there's that Formex field watch that actually was in the top 10. Yeah, that's probably Formex's best, is that NHL field watch thing. But this is cool too. The Formex Reef is good. I can recognize greatness here. Recognizing greatness does not totally include the lume. They just took a bad shot. There's all this light in the background and stuff. I don't know what's going on. Why is it so hard to take a lume shot, people? You pay professional photographers. Can you just get a good lume shot where we can see how the lume performs when it's darkened? When the room's dark, how the lume actually performs? Like, it's not even dark enough to need lume. Like, even if it had no lume, I could still read the time fine in the way they darken the room. It's not dark enough. Total score of 82. In 15th place is the Marathon MSAR automatic. Medium search and rescue. $1,215, 36 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. 36 millimeters is medium. Dang. It's 13 millimeters thick. This is the automatic one. The quartz one's in here too. They're both in here. This is the automatic one. You get tritium lume. You get 15 tubes. No, you get 14? Okay, all 12 plus 3 is 15. Okay, you get 15 tubes. Bezel does not have tritium lume. It has traditional lume. That's why you're seeing the disparity here. I mean, a lot of times the tritium lume is actually going to appear brighter than the bezel lume, especially if you don't shine a flashlight or something. If you're looking at your watch and it's midnight, you may not be able to see the bezel pip all that well, but you'll definitely be able to see the tritium. I had a Marathon G-SAR. I love that thing. That one was crazy thick. This is going to feel thick too, because it's only 36 millimeters across, but 13 thick. I loved the crown. That was really nice. The crosshatch pattern. The really, really grippy bezel was nice. Mine was not aligned though. And that's common with these marathons, is that the bezel's not well aligned. You can get it to say US government. That's cool. I love that you have the standard hours as well as military hours. Although there is no 2400. That should be a 0 at the top. Well, 0 at the top here and then 12 here. And, oh, it's a wild card. I haven't always been mentioning the wild cards, but this is in the final runoff. Score of 81. All right, in 16th place is Seiko SKX 013K1. $989. 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. It's looking like an Islander, so yeah, this is where the Islander's getting that look. Now, it looks really good. I love the bezel with all the little dots around. This is fun. The 350 crown? What is this? 345 crown? I don't know. That looks cool. Looks like a lot of fun. Why is it $989? It's absurd. Totally ridiculous. It is ISO rated. That's nice. Only 13 thick. Decent thickness. Yeah, 13.4 is the average. So a little thinner than average. Yeah. The 300 meter was 13.7. 200 meters, 13.4. I think 500 meters, 14.5. This is just from memory. But anyway, yeah, it's thinner than average for this depth rating. It's got that day. That's nice. And it's a wild card. I thought it had a chance for the final top 10. Maybe this will make it. Only 38 millimeters. That's very nice. Oh, let's look at the lume. Standard dive lume. It just looks totally normal. Nothing to write home about, but also it's not going to let you down. Score of 81. In 17th place is the Breitling Super Ocean 36. $5,050, 36 millimeters, 300 meters water resistance. You're limited on your color choices at this size. The larger Super Ocean has some cooler colors, in my opinion. I mean, I really like the yellow. Breitling and yellow just... It makes sense to me that Breitling should be yellow for some reason. I don't know why that is, but I like the yellow one that's the size up. This one does not have a yellow. It's just orange, baby blue, or white. It's a chronometer. You don't get a date on it, though. That's unfortunate. This minute hand is one of one. Nobody else does this humongous square like that. That is crazy. Let's look at the lume. Lume looks good. I like the humongous square. Only 12.2 thick, so very thin. Almost as thin as the Submariner. It's looking good. I love the text here with Super Ocean. I really like this big minute track. Total score of 80. In 18th place is the Tudor Black Bay 58 Bronze. $4,875, 39 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. This is the only Black Bay that gets a green good grade that cracks the 80. Yeah, there's the normal steel one. That's actually not even in the video. I didn't need to do every possible variant of every watch on the planet. I did the interesting ones for the Tudor Black Bay. I did the bronze, did the silver, I did the gold. I like the silver one the best personally. I think it has the lowest score though. But anyway, here's the bronze. The cool thing about this one is that it has the T-fit clasp. So you've got that sweet adjustable clasp. I think the clasp was in bronze too. So it's not often Oris Aquis does a bronze bracelet as well. It may just be Tudor and Oris that are doing these bronze bracelets. I think that's going to irritate my skin. I'm pretty sure it would. It's going to turn your skin green, but you could put on some clear nail polish or something, I'm sure, on the underside of it. And maybe they've treated it in some way, I don't know. But it looks really cool. This is a unique one. 39 is a good size. Let's look at the lume. Great lume on this. I don't think that's going to disappoint you. It's really nice to have the numbers. Oh yeah, I've got the Corjou. I should be wearing the Corjou. The Corjou is the exact, basically ripoff of this thing. The Corjou really misses a lot of the details. But yeah, that's what it's supposed to be. Alright, I think this Corjou, by the way, is like 42 or it's 40 or whatever. It's not sub 40. A lot of the Chinese watches just aren't sub 40. That's why we didn't see so many of them. But yeah, with Tudor, you just don't get a date. It's technically thinner than the Rolex Submariner. It is only 200 meters water resistance though, so it's not some tremendous feat. It is a chronometer. It is Swiss made, all that sort of stuff. If you like this like kind of retro refined look of Tudor, it's a good option. Score of 80. In 19th place is the Tag Heuer Aquaracer Professional 200 Solargraph. $2,150. 34 millimeters, nice and small, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, who knew that Tag Heuer had a solar watch? Very thin, 10.6. That's a very common thickness for these solar watches. Interesting. There's an extension on the bracelet, so that's good. It's going to be highly accurate with that solar quartz movement. Lume is a bit disappointing though. No bezel lume. And they could have put bezel lume on here. That other Tag Aquaracer had lume on the bezel. They could have done that here too. I guess they were going for like a steel bezel. I get why it's different, but that's too bad. It's suitable. It's suitable for your needs. It's still a good grade. You have a date right there. Score of 80. And in 20th place is the Marathon MSAR Quartz. $800, 36 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. There's a few differences from the automatic version. You get a red tip on this second hand. The other one did not have the red there. That actually looks better to me. But you lose a tritium tube. The other one had 14 tubes? 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, the other one had 15 tubes. This one has 14 tubes. So you lose one of the tubes. Only 12 and a half. That's good. 12 and a half is thinner than average for the 300 meter water resistance. Chunky bezel, nicely knurled crown here. Only $800. But $800 for quartz. You're paying for the tritium and the brand heritage, that sort of thing. It's a cool watch. I already mentioned this, but I owned a Marathon GSAR, the larger one, and I liked the watch. It was a cool watch. They are very expensive though. And here's that lume shot. It's conventional lume on the second hand, conventional on the bezel as well. Pictures of tritium lume really don't do them justice. Tritium lume is fantastic. It is so crisp and clear at night, all night long. Look at it at 2 o'clock, and it's crisp and clear right there for your viewing pleasure. Cool option, score of 80. All right, no longer in the good grades. Now we're in the passing grades with the Rolex Yachtmaster 37. And there's a number here, 26862. Hope there's not another number I'm covering. $11,650, 37 millimeters across, 100 meters water resistance. This dark gray with the bright blue is looking good. I like that combo. It's a good combo. You get anti-magnetism with Rolex. That's sweet to see. Yeah, it's a capable dive watch. Even though, okay, it does not have lume on the bezel, which sort of is. I mean, that's why it's not a good grade. It's only a passing grade. You have to remember that. In the main video series, there were so many watches ahead of this Yachtmaster. Like, when you open it up to over 40 millimeters, you get such good watches. Like, this is a small subsection of the dive watch market as a whole. Yachtmaster is not intended to be the ultimate diving watch. Yeah, it's relatively high against its sub-40 peers. This is in the top third. 11 thick, so not very thick. Yeah, 100 meters water resistance. That's the main penalty this thing gets. It's really not like a professional dive watch, and nobody's ever claimed that it is. It has a platinum bezel, so that is very cool. I love the frosted with the polished. This bezel is probably a considerable portion of the expense of the watch, both being platinum and just the finishing they did on it. That's very cool. It's a flex watch for sure. But it's not all that much more than the regular Submariner. That's the crazy thing. And you get platinum. Total score 79. In 22nd place is the Longines Hydro Conquest 39. 1,375 bucks. 39 millimeters across. 300 meters water resistance. They're sort of copying the Rolex Explorer font. It's not exact, but the 6 and the 9, the black, and then the way these are. I mean, they're doing their own thing, but it's suggestive of the Rolex Explorer here with these numerals. Tons of stuff on the dial. It's kind of overwhelming. Extra little indexes for no reason. Just to have more stuff in your face. I don't hate it. I mean, it's not for me. These crown guards look kind of weird too. There's too many... You know what? I changed my mind. I think I do hate it. There's too many design elements just thrown at the wall. Just do this, do that. Do this weird hand nobody's ever seen. Do this letter with wings on it. And or it's supposed to be like, do the hourglass with the wings on it. Bizarre crown guards. The crown itself has this weird little ring on the end of it. I don't know. It's too much stuff. I need to get away from this watch. Let's look at the lume. Lume is good. Oh, but none on the second hand. Boo. No second lume. Okay. No, there's the Longines. It is a chronometer, so you get that. Only just over 1,000 too. So yeah, there's probably some value here. Not for me though. Score 79. 23rd place is the Marin Instruments Skin Diver. 1,150 bucks. 39 millimeters. 200 meters water resistance. They are asking a lot of money. Oh, it should say Swiss Auto. It says Swiss made on the bottom. Okay, this should get one more point. This should be a pass. This should be a green good grade. I would still place it before the marathon. It would only go up a couple spots. It always happens. I always miss a detail here or there. I miss that it's Swiss made. It's okay. Let's look at the lume. Here's that lume. Man, the countdown is where you want the most precision. And here you have actually less precision than you have between the 20 and 30, because at least you have something to mark the halfway point. Between 0 and 10 minutes, you get nothing. Just whatever, it's less than 10 minutes. Good luck. So this bezel is far too imprecise for me. It says instruments, but your timing instrument portion of it is a pretty lousy instrument, in my opinion. But otherwise, really cool watch. It looks really cool. Score 79. In 24th place, the Tudor Black Bay 58, 18 karat, baby. 18 karat gold. 33,700 bucks. I think that's the most expensive one in this video. 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. I mean, the Breitling Chronomat, they make a gold one that's very expensive too. I can't remember if I put the gold in here. Anyway, Tudor's expensive. Green looks pretty cool. They've chosen more of like a earthy green rather than like a vibrant green. That's okay. Yeah, they do kind of these muted colors, like 70s more colors, earth tones. That's okay. That's fine. Submariner thickness. That's great. It does have the T-fit clasp on this one as well. Suitable dive watch. Oh, and gold is actually the most corrosion resistant material probably that there ever was. It just doesn't corrode. You can't corrode gold. So that's good. Put it in salt water all day. It's not going to matter. Gold is probably the best material for salt water. It's just really, really darn expensive. And I guess this is an alloy, 18 karat. It's not pure gold. It's not 24 karat gold. So yeah, it's, I don't know. It's probably really, really excellent with salt water. Score 78. 25th place is the Tudor Black Bay 54. 4,050 bucks, 37 millimeters. 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, this is a wild card for the end. And the Black Bay Silver, Black Bay 58 Silver will also be a wild card. That's enough Black Bays for the final runoff. I just kind of chose my favorites of those, a couple of them. There's a really cool comparison video I watched comparing the 54 and the 58 by You're Terrific. Check out his video. Maybe I can put in a little card here for him. Yeah, check that out. He made some great points. The 54, I think, he convinced me this is the superior one. But yeah, the thickness seems good. I think it's T-fit again. It's got that bracelet extension. Chronometer, all these Tudors are chronometers. That's great. Let's look at the lume. Yep, lume is good on this one as well. What else to say? It looks cool. I like the gold with the black. That looks really cool. So score 78. 26th place is the Aquastar Model 60. $1,390. It's 37 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Cheaper than that Seiko 62 Moss reissue deal. You've got your locked off hour hand. Those are kind of interesting. I wonder if that's a retro thing. I wonder if they did that in like the 60s or something. 11 thick, so pretty darn thin watch. That's good. Only 37. Like if you're looking for a small watch, well, I guess this whole video has been nothing but small watches. So this is a video for you. Lume is okay. Hard to compare it to others because they failed to turn off the lights. Seatbelt NATO, that looks good. I'm not really into this particular look personally, but if you are, it's probably high quality, but it's very expensive. Total score 78. In 27th place is the Alsta Super Automatic, $785, 38 millimeters across, probably left to right, 300 meters water resistance. So it's going to wear larger if that's the case. It's going to wear more like a 40 probably. I didn't consider that until this moment. I like this one better. If we're going funky retro thing, let's just make it super funky. Super automatic. Yeah, funky factor. Dial that thing up. Let's look at the lume. Lume looks okay. It's kind of a render though, so it's hard to tell. I think these numbers are probably going to fade, but you get plots with them. So yeah, this is going to be good lume. Certified. What is it? Shock resistant certified? Who certifies the shock resistance? Whatever. I gave it credit for anti-shock. They're really insistent that it's somehow special there. So we gave them credit for it. Magnet, also magnetism protection. That's good. Crazy thick though. And in the main dive watch video, 15 wasn't even that crazy. 15 thick, 15. In the small dive watch one, this is way on the outskirts of the bell curve, I would imagine. No lume on the bezel. Why is there no lume on the bezel? Ah, that's too bad. I was having a moment with this thing. I thought it was pretty darn cool. Way less cool when there's no lume up here. Total score of 78. In 28th place is the Nevada Antarctic, $995, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. I said bring on the funk. I take the funk back. I liked the funk until it went way too far. This is too much funk for me. Too many slashes. There's just what they chopped them off and had little ones on top. It's a lot. It's killing me. Let's look at the lume. Lume is cool though. There's like yellowish and then greenish. These are different colors, but it's not traditional like. It's not like blue and green like you normally see when they combine colors. It's like a yellowy kind and a green. Or maybe this is actually blue on the outside. Hard to say. Cameras are weird. It's a Swiss automatic movement in here. Normal thickness, not anything crazy. Total score 78. In 29th place is the Tudor Black Bay 58 Silver. My pick. $4,650, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Silver is extra shiny. That's awesome. I like this color. What the heck do they call it? Ecru? I think they call it... What the heck is Ecru? I guess this is Ecru. Lume, at least this shot is looking bad. But the other Black Bay 58s looked better. So the lume is probably okay. That is one limitation of using lume shots. I know it's not a perfect system. But I have to have some way to try to evaluate the lume. And for you to see it as well. You know, Tudor, you could fix this problem by putting a lume shot on your website. All your watches, just take a nice lume shot. It's really not that hard. I can do it on my camera phone. Just charge it up, go in the closet, take a picture. It's really not hard. They need to be doing that. But now I'm just ranting. They don't make a silver bracelet, so you get this NATO strap. It looks kind of weird, I'll be honest. It looks kind of elastic. Maybe that would be okay. Most of the time, elasticy straps drive me totally nuts. They work okay on a really super light watch, like a plastic watch or something, but on a steel or even silver watch, that weight is gonna pull on the elastic, and I don't think I would like this strap. That's just my speculation here. Again, no date. That holds me back from Tudor. I guess I have a Corjou with no date. This watch is so bad. I'm gonna get rid of it at some point. Do I just throw it away or what do I do? Maybe I'll just give it away on the channel. That's probably a good idea. subject somebody else to this like lousy Corju. Just send it to him for free. I'll just give it away at some point. I have other ones to give away too. I need to do that. But anyway, this thing's a chronometer. Looks really cool. I like this one the best, like I said. Score 77. 30th place is the Arain Submarine. $1,886, 37.5 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Looking like that 62 Moss, and almost the price of the 62 Moss. So maybe you just get the Seiko. I mean, this is a different thing, obviously. Some kind of French watch, it appears, with the automatique on the dial. Lume looks fantastic. Great lume with this. The color is really nice too. The other colors are cool too. Yeah, I definitely like this watch a lot. Roulette date, or maybe just always red. Yeah, this is a good one. I like the dots all the way around. That's fantastic. Oh, they're missing 30 though. Oh, it's a countdown bezel. Oh man, have I missed other ones? This is the only countdown bezel that I've seen, so that I've mentioned so far. I don't know if it's the only countdown one we've seen. I didn't mark that in the scoring system, but yeah. So, you know, if you want to time 10 minutes, you put the 10 over the minute hand, and then as time progresses, it'll get closer and closer to the dot, and the dot tells you time's up. So you do the dot for the end time instead of the start time. But yeah, I mean, I would like a countdown bezel just to see how I like that. It's too bad that Parking Master's gone. That was the one I wanted for the countdown. But yeah, hey, I'll just save up almost 2 G's and get an Arain, maybe. I'm not seeing the quality. Yeah, very cool watch. Score 77. In 31st place, the Christopher Ward C60 Trident Pro 300, $1,095, 38 millimeters. Good job, guys. 300 meters water resistance. Christopher Ward knows what they're doing. However, they do get a penalty here for low contrast. Slap that wrist. They do silver hands on a white dial. Maybe they've doctored the photo to make it look more high contrast than it is. There's going to be some lights where you're just not going to see the hands with silver on white like this. That is poor. These hands should be black. It wouldn't be hard to make them black. I don't know why they didn't do that. Or blue, or something. You do blued hands. That's also fine. But this is bad. Lume looks really good on this thing. I like that. Only 11 thick. There's no bracelet extension though, unfortunately. But yeah, chose this as a wild card. It will be in the final runoff. Score 77. In 32nd place is the Oris Diver 65 Date. $2,900, 38 millimeters across, 100 meters water resistance. This watch has grown on me a lot since I did the original series last summer. I was put off by the 100 meters water resistance and like other dive style things about this. Yeah, I like it for its style. The style, like I said, it's just grown on me. There was a pink one in the pink series. There was a lime green one in the lime green series I did. Yeah, it's grown on me. So that's cool. Lots of colors on this thing. A lot of these might only be in the steel. I don't think they have a ton of colors with the bronze, but they have some that are like a combination of steel and bronze. Oris makes a ton of variants of this Diver 65. Here's the lume. Lume actually looks really poor, but it may have been photographer error. Maybe they didn't charge it up very well. That's probably the case. But this was the lume shot I found. Only a lume pip, just standard lume. Cool looking watch, score 76. In 33rd place is the Oris Aquas Date 39.5. $1,740, 39.5 millimeters across, 300 meters water resistance. Proprietary lugs, I just have to mention that because it bothers me that they did that. They did these proprietary lugs here. So you can only get Oris branded straps. What else to say about it? It's okay. Lume is not great. Lume is poor on this. I mean, this is a fantastic lume shot, but I've seen other shots of this that are really unimpressive. These are very thin indexes on this. So this fade quickly. Average thickness, it's not a chronometer. Oris really doesn't do that. But it's a Swiss automatic. That's good. It's a lot of money though. I think Oris is too expensive. That's probably my biggest issue with Oris. Like, I don't mind I like the looks of their watches, but specs wise they kind of fall short and they're too expensive. That's my opinion on Oris. Score 76. In 34th place is the Oleg and Weiss or Oleg and Vaj. Somebody, I think Mark from Long Island said Vice, so I thought that was correct. Now I'm hearing other people say it a different way. I don't know how to say this name. O&W Oceanograph, $1,880, 39.5 millimeters across, 1,000 meters water resistance. That's the biggest water resistance in this video. I mean, in the video series overall, there were hugely deep depth ratings, just all over the place. These smaller ones seem to be just like a little more disciplined. They're doing like 200s, 300s, just normal depth ratings. Except O&W doing 1,000. I don't even think this is too crazy for a 1,000 meter depth rating. 15.8 thick is probably par for the course. But there you go. If you really need a deep dive watch and you need it to be under 40 millimeters, O&W may be the only way you can go, actually. So here it is. You get a Perlon strap. That's interesting. Lume is bizarre. It's a tiny little square of orange lume underneath the date. Then you get these triangles, 2 of them pointing in, 1 of them pointing up, and then like yellow on the hands or something. It's just weird lume. Totally weird lume. Multi-feature bezel with some no deco times. I believe that's what this is. Really cool stuff on here. Definitely look into that. Yeah, okay. There's even more than I thought. Because look, here's the 5 minutes elapsed, 10 minutes elapsed. So if it's gray, these are elapsed. But the orange boxes, I think these are no deco times. So if you're going down to a certain depth, 15, if you're going down to 15 whatevers, you can be there for 60 minutes, maybe. 16, 36. These tell you your decompression stops on the way up and how much to spend at each one. Yeah, consult an actual diving instructor to find out what no deco times are. Don't listen to me. A lot of I gave it extra points for having multiple features on the bezel. Unique look on these O&Ws. Doesn't totally resonate with me, but it's a unique look. Score 76. 35th place is the Oris Aquas Date, 36.5. So we had the 39.5, now we have the 36.5. Just a smaller size of that same watch is what it seems like. Again, proprietary strap. Screw bars, that's kind of cool. Other than these screw bars, it's really not that tooly. Like I said, the lume, it's okay in this shot. I think real world, it's not going to look that great. They do some cool dials on these Orises and cool limited editions and stuff. Not a chronometer. Over $2,000. Total score 76. 36th place is the Baltic Aquascaf Dual Crown. $700, 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, the other Baltic was in that other price category, wasn't it? This is okay. It's kind of a plain watch, like that other Baltic. Just buttoned up, just plain. Lume is fantastic on it. Great lume. Under 12 millimeters thick. That's great. Yeah, it's going to be an enjoyable experience wearing and using this watch. That is my prediction. Sometimes it's nice to just have like a plain watch that just looks good. This one fits that mission very well. Score 76. 37th place is the Mito Ocean Star 39. $1,100, 39 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. This looks cheesy to me, what they did with the black and the blue and the bezel the same way. A bicolor bezel that's just halfway, that's for a 24-hour scale to show you day-night. It doesn't belong on an elapsed time bezel. It just doesn't. I personally just couldn't do that just because of that. This is too much texture on the dial for me as well. Actually, the champagne one looks really cool. I do like the champagne one. This one's not as good. Well, maybe I should have put the champagne one on here. I think it had low contrast, though, was the issue. I don't remember, but very thin, only 10.5 thick. That's awesome. Caliber 72, it's maybe proprietary for Mito. It's probably just like a Salida that they changed the rotor or something. I'm just jaded. It might actually be like they designed it from the ground up. Usually that's not the case when they're like, we have the caliber 43. Ooh, 43. It's just they pulled the number out of who knows what. Just slap a rotor on something. It's okay. I don't need to get bent out of shape about it. Lume is just average. In the dark, this isn't even really looking like a dive watch because these are kind of thin. They flare out a little bit with the metal, so I didn't give it the too thin hands penalty, but maybe it should have gotten that penalty. These hands are dainty. It does have a bracelet extension. That's cool. Score 76. 38th place is the Abingdon Nadia. $849, 35 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, so it's designed for women. Nadia, I think that's a woman's name. Internal rotating compass bezel, external elapsed time bezel. Great to have both. Why not have both? That's cool. I like that. Although this doesn't line up with that. So is this little ring stationary and then the outer bezel turns? That's a little bit odd if that's the case. Day date here at 4 o'clock. That's nice. Nice bright blue on the hands. Maybe I would call this medium contrast because the indexes blend in. But the hands are nice and attention getting, so I like that. I've got a plain, I guess it's a plain watch somehow. 200 meters water resistance though. It's kind of thick. 14 is thicker than I'd like to see, but cool choice. Oh, let's look at the lume. Here's that lume. Looks okay. Yeah, it looks decent. No problems with the lume. Score 76. 39th place is an Olech & Voss C1000 Mark II. $2,112, 39.5 millimeters across, 1,000 meters water resistance. Lume, it's every 5 minutes. You don't get in between. Man, can they just turn the light off? No, they cannot. But there you go. There's the lume. That's too bad down here. Quadrants again. Yeah, what's with the quadrants on these O&Ws? That's really unfortunate. Just do all of them. Why can't they do all of them? It's weird. I really do think it's trying to control costs. And that's too bad. I don't know style-wise why that would be preferable to having all the indexes. I think it would be nice to have lume. If they wanted different colors, they could do blue lume on these guys. That would look sweet. It comes on a NATO, 6 o'clock date, total score 75. In 40th place is the Aquastar Deep Star, $1,890, 36.8 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. They make a pink one that I wanted to be in the pink video, but it was out of stock or something. You can't get them. You can get the blue ones. You can get the blue one, at least at time of recording. So if you're in love with this thing, grab one before they're gone. Crazy. It's asymmetrical here with this sub-seconds. Very unique look. All these numbers, P equals 5542.343. Like, what? What could that, how could that possibly serve anybody any use? Normal? Man, okay, read the manual for this thing. And I don't doubt it. I'm sure that's correct, that P equals 5,542.3. Oh, there's no point. These numbers go on and on. What could that possibly be? I mean, talk about like living the fantasy. Is anyone going to use that? Maybe they will. Only 12 thick. Skin diver case shape. Skin divers are cool. Let's do skin diver. I want a skin diver. I don't know if there's room though. This is weird. There's no lume for a long period of time. 20 minutes? It's a long patch of the dial that has nothing. Very odd. Score 75. 41st place is the Glashütte Original Spezialist CQ. $10,200. Rolex territory. 39.5 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, I do not recommend this. Don't get it. That's my recommendation. Don't get it. Lume actually looks pretty darn good on this. Yeah, I think you can do better. Looks really cool. The strap looks really cheap, I'll be honest. Did not score well as a small diver. You know what? If you want a larger watch, maybe this fits the bill. It got 3 points off for being 39.5 millimeters thick. So it would have been recommended so in the regular scoring system, it's definitely recommended. For a small watch, it's on the large size, and that did actually make a difference. That was a determining factor for this one. 42nd place is the EZA Vintage 1972, $1,080, 39.6 millimeters, getting even closer to that 40, 200 meters water resistance. And yeah, also not recommended. Size again, determining factor. A lot of funk on here. Too much funk for me. Too much stuff. There's just a lot of stuff. Why are there 4 lines at the 6, at the 9, there's just too much to look at. Lume is very strong, but no lume on the dial. Dial is devoid of lume, so that's unfortunate. I mean, you could still use the bezel to tell the time in the dark. I guess that's not as bad. Maybe this isn't so bad. But it should have dial loom too. I mean, the bezel's for time and stuff, so it's not necessarily going to be aligned to the top, and it can get knocked out of place. So yeah, you should have dial loom as well. I had a moment of doubt, but no, this is no good. Don't recommend the EZA. Score 72. 43rd place, 41st of the ones I can recommend in the over $700 category. It's the Seiko Prospex Marine Master S-Ben 011. They named it after me, clearly, but okay, it's $3,098, 39.5 millimeters in diameter, 200 meters water resistance. Yeah, I wish they hadn't named it after me. I think Seiko has better watches than this one. Loom is fantastic though. Wow, strong loom. Very strong loom on this. Gigantic plots. That's going to be great. I like circular date cutouts. That's cool. Horizontal line texture on the dial. That's cool too. Case looks a little more beefy. I do like that. It's sort of sumo-y. I do like these ones. No extension apparently on the bracelet. So if you change that bracelet, you can get that score up on my scoring system, and I recommend it. So yeah, I recommend this one. Score of 71. 44th place is the Vulcain Skin Diver Nautique. $1,640, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. The plum one looks so good. I think the plum, gosh, I can't remember if it won the Purple Dive Watch video series. I don't think it did. It was the best looking one, in my opinion. The best purple looking watch of all purple watches was this Vulcain Nautique. It just looks really good. As a, specs wise, it doesn't really cut it. I don't actually recommend this one as like do everything dive. If you just want a watch that looks cool, sure, why not? It's just not the best dive watch. Loom, there's no loom on the bezel. That's disappointing. And this loom is not looking that great either. No second loom. So loom is an afterthought. They need to tighten that up, in my opinion. It wouldn't have been hard to give it a pip, that sort of thing. There you go. There's the Vulcain, score 71. 45th place is the Mito Ocean Star 36.5, $990, 36.5 millimeters, 200 meters water resistance. I think you might be able to get this one cheaper than $990. It definitely looks different. Look at pictures of it. Like on Nomone, it's practically invisible, or the bezel is like bright blue or something. I'll put up a picture. I can't remember exactly. It looks dramatically different from the product shot. This watch is weird. So probably the sort of thing you need to try on. I mean, that's the thing about all the watches. And hopefully, me running just everyday shots, non-product shots, that'll give you a better feel for how these watches look like in the real world. This Mito Ocean Star, though, it looks strange to me in the real world. If you swap it off the bracelet, I guess I recommend it. Loom is substandard. You do get second loom, but no bezel loom. Total score is 71. In 46th place is the Dietrich SD1. $1,091, 38.5 millimeters, 150 meters water resistance. Very cool. Guitar pick at the top again. I like these hands. Those are really cool. Totally unique. Kind of organic looking, like plant. Some kind of flower or something. Loom looks really good. I like this border to the date window. That's really cool. Yeah, a lot of style on this. Huge date too. It's very large. Only 12 thick. Yeah, actually the bracelet looks really cool. The bracelet does not have an extension though, so probably gonna swap the bracelet out. Well, I don't know. You might leave it on there. I'm just saying, score-wise, it's fallen short. That's the part we're in right now. Yeah, just fallen a little short. Not recommended as a dive watch necessarily. Total score 70. In 47th place is the Squale Super Squale, $1,146, 38 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. No date. This is not the Squale to get, in my opinion. Squale has some fantastic watches. In fact, they're 1521. I forget the number. That was the number one conventional dive watch out of 680 whatever watches. Like, Squale makes a fantastic watch. The Super Squale is under. Here's the loom. Loom actually looks okay. Yeah, no date. It's nice and thin. All stuff's on the card. I'm not gonna try to explain it. There's better dive watches out there. Total score of 69. 48th place, the Glycine Sea Kraken GL0506. $754, 39 millimeters across, 150 meters water resistance. It looks really cool. I bet that crystal is domed nicely. I like the sector dial. The dial looks beautiful. Lume looks totally decent. You even get second lume. Leather strap definitely hurts it. Yeah, not recommended. Score 68. 49th place is the Rado Captain Cook Auto 37mm. $2,250. 37, like I said, 100 meters water resistance. I think this anchor like flips around. I'm not sure. I think I've seen it at different angles. We'll find out when I do some pictures in there or whatever. It is thin. That's nice. I like the red date. Let's look at the lume. Lume looks really cool too, although there's no bezel lume. That's definitely hurting it. Yeah, just falling short. Total score of 68. In 50th place is the Armand Nicolet VS1. $1,528. 38 millimeters across, 100 meters water resistance. The 100 definitely hurts it. Oh, the Rado, that was the same story. Let's look at the lume. Oh, I couldn't find a lume shot. From description, it's just kind of, there's no bezel lume. Some other cool colors. Score 68. In 51st place is the Le Forban La Rochelaise. $800, 39 millimeters across, 150 meters water resistance. Internal rotating bezel. Screw down, so you can't fiddle with it in the water. You can't adjust this after you're in the water. You've got to do it before you jump in. 11.4 thick is very nice, but yeah, falls short. Let's look at the lume. Lume is bad. I don't think this lume is going to be very good. Yeah, and they're missing marks. That's bizarre. Total score 66. 52nd place, the Zodiac Super Seawolf Skin Diver. $1,595. 39 millimeters across, 200 meters water resistance. Lume actually looks really cool on this. There's no second lume, so that's getting a penalty. I do like these triangles with the numbers in black. That's very cool. Well, I guess they're not in black. They're just not lumed. But that looks really cool in the dark. I know this is some kind of render, but it's going to look cool in the dark, I'm sure. Not making the cut. Total score of 66. In 53rd place, second to last, lowest score, the Norcane Adventure Sport. In the last video, I said this looks like a department store watch. Oh, my image is not great. It's really doesn't look good quality to me. $4,000. Honestly, I wouldn't want this for like $200. It looks horrible to me. I don't know. It just doesn't look right. I don't feel bad that there was a bad score for this one. Lume does not look good either. Score 66. D. And in last place, 54th place is the Breitling Chronomat 28, $4,711. 28 millimeters, very small, 100 meters water resistance. If you're a pretty lady, you might want some pretty watch like this, but it's not a great dive watch, in my opinion. Well, no, I think objectively it's not a great dive watch. It is super thin. That's nice. Quartz, you'll like the quartz. No date on it. Lume is just the hands. Oh, and the pip. You get a pip. That's cool. Lume pip. Okay. Yeah, it's an F- grade. Or I guess just F. Everything below 60 is an F, right? Fails the class. Fails the dive class. It's the only failing grade, though, right? D's are fine? I don't know. Anyway, Breitling Chronomat 28, not recommended. So that was all the dive watches over $700 that I could find that are under 40 millimeters in diameter. And there you go. That's how I think they rank. Number one is that ZRC. You know, with no subjective factors added on. These are my top fives. Serica is a great option. Yeah, lots of good options. Perrin is really nice if you just want something just plain that'll go with everything you possibly own. It can work in formal, it can work in informal. It's just very versatile here. But yeah, there's a lot of cool watches. And now we're going to do the runoff round. So those top 10, I guess these 5, those 5, and then, you know, all the wild cards like this Tag Heuer, the Marathon. All those are going to go against each other in the subjective factors. And we'll do that now. On to the runoff round. Here are the subjective factors I'm going to consider in this runoff round. Well, there's rounds. There's 6 rounds. The first round is brand strength, then looks, then lume impressiveness, distinctiveness, affordability. My fingers are doing whatever, not linked to reality. Size preference is number 6, round number 6. You can kind of calculate this absolute value of 63 additional points. All right, I'm going to shrink the score 75% and then put points on top. You'll see as we go through each one of these rounds. Top small dive watches. Here we are. Here are the 40 finalists. Here are the top 10s from the two different price categories, the under $700 price category and the over $700 price category. There's all 20. I'll just say them in order. The Seiko SNE 575, Lumtech Solar Marine 4, Erebus Origin 38, Alpina Sea Strong Diver Gyre, Phoibos Delphinus, Seiko SNE 57, Veridius Ford Meridian Tactical, Helson Skin Diver 38, Armedia A11, Glycine Combat Sub 39mm. Those were all the ones under $700. Here are the ones over $700. ZRC Attache Grand Fonds, Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean 39.5, Leico Mojave 39, Serica 5303, Triton Spirotechnique Sport, Perrin Regia X, Certina DS Action Diver, Blanc Pond 50 Fathoms Bathscap 38, Yema Superman Slim CMM 20, Longines Legend Diver. Okay, so those were all the top 10s. Now there's 20 wild cards as well. Yeah, you can see them all on the screen. I'll just say them one by one as well. Tag Heuer Aqua Racer 300 meters, Breitling Super Ocean 36, Heron Marinor, Oris Diver 65 date, Seiko SKX 013K1, Ubique Dual, Marie Lacroix Acon Venturer, Sea Stern 62 Moss, Rolex Yachtmaster 37, Maine Hudson Mark IV, Certina DS Action 34.5, Christopher Ward C60 Trident Pro 300, Traska Seafarer, Longines Legend Diver 36, Tudor Black Bay 54, Alrain Submarine, Baltic Aquascap Bronze, Signum Cuda Sandstone 38.5, Tudor Black Bay 58 Silver, Marathon MSAR Automatic. There they are. These are the 40 watches that have a chance to be the top small dive watch. Subjectivity was involved in what went in there, obviously. I could have done some other stuff. This would have turned out differently if I did. So I really tried to choose ones that I thought had a chance. They would excel in some area. Yeah, there were a lot of ones that I knew there's no point in including them because they're not going to do very well. So I tried to have this be pretty balanced in the wild cards I selected. Here's the loom of all those watches. It's a little silly, it's on the screen. I'm just going to blast through this. We'll see them individually when they're ranked and everything. Okay, so if I didn't apply any subjective factors, this would be the top 10. Pre-runoff rankings, unadjusted scores. These are just the raw scores from the original analysis. So ZRC has a score of 89 at the top. Yema Superman has a score of 83 down here in 10th place. And I just included a bonus. We can watch the Tudor Black Bay 54 as the video goes on. It's in 27th place right now. Before any adjustments are made, we'll see how that comes up over time throughout the video. Just keep an eye on it. All right, let's do round one. Round one, brand strength. So I did this using watchcharts.com. This is not my opinion. Well, some of it is. Okay, so this top row, Rolex is the most popular watch brand according to watchcharts.com. Omega's second most popular of the ones that are in the runoff. So these are just ranked. And now we go along, we get to like Yema, Marie Lacroix, Certina. I think Certina is the last one that's even in watch charts. So everything below here, I ranked them subjectively. The ones I think have the best brand strength to the lowest brand strength. Sea Stern, lowest brand strength. ZRC, the highest of these ones down here at the bottom. So that's how I ranked them. It's totally subjective. There we go. So after brand strength, what happens? Boom! Wow, 6 of these watches totally gone. So these early rounds have such a dramatic effect on the top 10 because I shrunk it down 75% and then we're adding points back on. And man, it really shakes things up in the early rounds. Serica gone, went down 8 places. Triton Spirotechnique gone, went down 17 spaces. Perrin way down 18. Can they recover from this? We will see as the video goes on. All these 6 are out. They're not in the top 10 anymore. Brand heritage is an important consideration, so it's important to go through all this stuff for sure. Okay, standings after round 1. We have a lot of watches that joined the party. Well, 6 of them did. ZRC, I think that was in first place. It's all the way down to 8th now. Does not really have brand heritage, at least according to watch charts. So I put it at the top after the watch charts things. But okay, Seiko bumped up. Seiko has ridiculously high brand heritage, brand strength, I believe. Yeah, I've been inconsistent with these terms. I think strength is a better term to describe what's happening at watch charts, because it's literally just popularity of the watches in the current market. It's not necessarily like what heritage has been involved. So this should say brand strength. But here's Seiko SNE 57, the brown one, joining the party. We haven't evaluated looks yet, so it's still up there. Another Seiko, the SKX thing, joining the party, as well as Tag Heuer, Longines. Rolex Yachtmaster joined, the highest brand heritage of any watch, so that makes sense. Longines Legend is up here. And I only show moves of 4 or greater. So Omega did go up, but I just didn't put that here. You know, it's just too much to look at and analyze. So these are for big moves. The arrows are always for moves of 4 or greater. Tudor Black Bay 54, we're keeping an eye on, went up 10 spaces. All right, it's getting closer to that top 10. We'll see what happens as it progresses. All right, round 2, looks. The main thing that went into how I ranked these was my first impression. Is it really nice looking? So the ones that I just had a visceral reaction, I really like how that looks. Those are really at the top. That's the main thing I use to sort these. I also considered finishing quality. Finishing quality factors in here. So for example, this Seiko actually does look pretty good. The finishing doesn't look that great to me on the case, especially the bracelet here. It's not looking that great. I did my best on this. It went through multiple iterations. I moved things around. I always have to do that because day to day, I don't necessarily agree and I have to reorder things. But this is how it ended up for looks. All right, what happens after the looks round? After the looks round, unsurprisingly, the brown one is gone. This one really does not look that great to me, the SKX thing. I didn't live through it. I didn't live through the SKX heyday, so I don't have a soft spot for this whatsoever. It just looks like a cheap watch to me. It doesn't look great. That went down 18 points. ZRC, I didn't make it red, but since it's eliminated, I wanted to show you how far it went down 3. The Legend 36 is out. All right, what's in? Rolex moved way up. It looks awesome. Tudor is no longer out of the top 10. It jumped in. Black Bay 54 up there. That was my number 1. For small watch, I think Tudor Black Bay 54 looks the best. So it jumped in. Black Bay Silver looks awesome too. Black Bay 58 Silver jumped in. Yema looks fantastic. Yeah, we're getting better looking watches up here in the top 10. That is for sure. Omega lost 3 spots. Seiko actually jumped some spots, even though, like I said, where did I put Seiko? Okay, it's just, I mean, it didn't have a crazy high ranking for looks. I do like how it looks. But that entitled it to move up a bunch. Well, just a couple spaces. This moved up 6 spots. This is the top 10 ranking right now after round 2. Let's go on to round 3. Lume impressiveness. And this is definitely subjective. Some of it is what is loomed. Some of it is how bright the picture appears. So, for example, right here, the Triton, it has a full lume bezel, but I put it below like the Marie Lacroix because this is some kind of render thing. I'm not really sure. I don't know how good it's going to look with this different color lume. For example, it might not be as bright. So I had to use some judgment in ranking these. Also, this Marathon MSAR doesn't look very good. The picture doesn't look very good. But I know from personal experience that tritium lume is good. So I always rank tritium farther up the list than it looks like they should get. Like just judging on the screenshot, it should be down much lower. Tritium lume is really nice, so it deserves a spot right there. Anyway, here's where I put all that lume. Longines is so bad. Unbelievably bad. I harped on that a lot, and I will continue to do so. This lume is so bad. Let's look at how this affected the top 10. Okay, Tudor Black Bay 58 Silver is out. This lume shot is very poor. Longines Legend, get it out of here. That lume is so bad. So those 2 are gone. They went down a lot of places. Leica Mojave came up. Marie Lacroix came up. ZRC came back in. It only moved like 3 spots. It was right below. Marie Lacroix is the other one that joined the party. Yeah, this Leica Mojave is in first place. Where did that come from? Like out of nowhere. Look at that Leica Mojave lume. So cool with the orange. Lume is for fun. So this literally is impressive. How impressed am I? When I look down at my wrist and I see bright orange, dude, that is super impressive. So yeah, here's the newest top 10 after lume is considered. Black Bay is still in the top 10. How long will that last? We will see. Okay, round number 4, distinctiveness. What is distinctiveness? Don't take I'm just describing what I did. I'm not trying to define the word for everyone throughout history. But what I did in this round is I had 3 different things I was rating on a 10-point scale, and I combined them together for a score. So, how unique is the watch? How unique looking is the watch? That's the first number. Second number, is the style strongly associated with the brand? So good brand association. Third, cohesive divey looks. Does it look divey? And so here we go. Here's 3 examples that are kind of different. High score, medium score, low score. The high score, Serica, very unique looking. The style is strongly associated with Serica. People know that's a Serica. They wouldn't think it was anything else. So got 9s out of both of those. I think it could be higher, but yeah, those are very high scores. 7, cohesive diving looks. Yes, I think this looks like a dive watch. I think it's cohesive with itself. So they did a great job on that. That's a very distinctive looking watch, the Serica. Longines. It's unique, definitely. There's not much else that looks like this. It looks like a Longines to me. However, I don't think it looks that divey. It's so retro. It's kind of got a lower score there. So it gets kind of a medium score, this Longines. A little bit above medium. And then the low score here, this Armida. Is it unique? No, it is not unique. It is very generic dive watch. The second bullet point, is the style strongly associated with the brand? Not really. You see this watch, you don't think, oh, it's Armida. Like, it just looks like a generic watch. You probably don't even note the name on the dial. Then the last one, does it have cohesive divey looks? Yes, it does. There we go. So that got a score of 10. And if another watch got a score of 10 and the numbers were different order, like it had a 721, the 721 would precede it, because these are placed in order of importance. Uniqueness is the most important factor that I'm considering for distinctiveness. So I will show you how that works. Here's how they went for distinctiveness. The ZRC is in first place. Totally unique, strongly associated with the brand, divey looks. Boom, that is the highest score here. Now look, Triton and Oris, I'm not going to stay on here too long. I'm not going to linger forever, but Triton and Oris both had 26. So I take the top number as the tiebreaker for these two. So Triton has a more unique look than the Oris, so it beats the Oris for distinctiveness. I'm sure there's flaws with my method, but it's a hard thing to try to quantify, and I did my best to do that. So yeah, here's that Longines we looked at. It's not totally middle of the pack. I guess that would be this spot, but there you go. That's how that worked out. Let's see the results. Eliminations after round 4. Sadly, Black Bay 54 is out. It is not a particularly distinctive watch. Rolex Yachtmaster also, it only went down 1 place, so it just barely went down. All right, here's the new top 10. ZRC, I think it was already in here. Yeah, 5. The new ones are the Triton Spyro Technique and the Marathon MSAR. Those came up. Seiko got kicked way down. It is only barely hanging on to the top 10. But here's your new top 10 after all these different factors are considered. And every one of them is important, in my opinion. Tudor Black Bay, after this round, goes down to 13th place. It's out of the top 10. And I'm just foreshadowing to the final ranking because the result of the next round, I'm just going to show you the top 10. The final ranking of this Tudor Black Bay 54 is 19th place after the next round. And that next round is affordability. So that's not really a surprise. Tudor's an expensive watch. Round 5, affordability. I don't know if I'm making this more complicated over time. I think I am. Yeah, I don't know that it needs to be so complicated, but here's round 5, affordability. I took the MSRP rank. So they're in order. What is the rank? And I divided it by -40. You know, lowest price to highest price. So Rolex is the most expensive. So its rank is 40th. And you divide by -40, you get a -1. Multiply that by 8. So -8 points. There's -10 points total for this. So -8. Everything over 2,500 gets a -2 as well. So yeah, Rolex is the most expensive watch. It gets the full 10-point penalty. This is sort of like tax or something. I did this crazy system. Oh my gosh. Okay, the Glycine Combat gets a penalty of -2. That's the main thing to note. There's justification for this. I forget exactly what. So that's the affordability. It's all done by computer. I'm not doing this on my own. I set up the formulas to calculate these for me. But okay, so Rolex -10, Glycine Comet -2. There's another round. Round 6 is also going to be invisible. This one's relatively subtle. Not a ton happening in round 6. Size preference, as I stated at the beginning of the video, I wanted 38mm watches to really get a bonus. That's really what I was going for in the small watches. Everything, like, it can't be over 40mm to be in this segment, but 38 was one I really wanted to give a bonus to. So that got +3. 37 gets a +1. And then you see these other ones. I wanted to penalize 39.5 because that's sort of a technicality that it's even in here. So that gets a -2. So this final adjustment will move things around as well. So we have affordability and size preference, and that will lead to the top 10. Here are the top 10 small dive watches, meaning under 40mm. In 10th place is the Oris Diver 65 Date. 38mm, 13mm across, $2,900. And the original score for this was only 76 points. After all the subjective factors, it gained 10 points. And, well, it gained a ton of points, but, you know, the change from the original score is it went up to 86. So it definitely helped for us to consider the subjective factors. Oris is a watch that you can't just take its specs on paper. There's other cool things about it. It has high brand strength, for example. It has good looks, very good looks, 10 out of 12. It's a very distinctive watch as well. There's not much else that looks like the Oris, and it's strongly associated with the brand. So it's a very distinctive watch. It did lose a bunch of points for affordability, so it only barely made it into the top 10. Lume is kind of lame on it, 4 out of 12. By no means the worst of the watches we've seen today, but it is pretty low. It gets a 3-point adjustment because it is 38mm. So for a small dive watch, I think this Oris Diver 65 is my 10th place. Score of 86. In 9th place is the Erebus Origin 38. 12.8 thick, $249. Yeah, the affordability thing, it got a 0 penalty for that. No penalty for affordability. This is an extremely affordable watch. This is the most affordable choice in the top 10, so that's good. It got also that 3-point bonus for being 38mm. Good, I was really wanting to bring that out, so that worked. Yeah, these are really special. They tick all the boxes, like I said. Lume is fantastic. Total score of 88. In 8th place is the Seiko SNE 57, 38mm, only 10.6mm thick. That is crazy thin for a dive watch. $338. It's brown, so looks, it got low score for looks. Very high brand strength. Seiko dive watches are just, you almost can't go wrong in terms of, like, you get it, and just due to that brand strength, that kind of carries it. Like, Seikos still do have that. It's not particularly distinctive. The lume is not particularly impressive. It's okay, lume, nothing to get too excited about, but it's very affordable. And it's that 38mm, so it made it into my top 10. Top 10, number 8. In 7th place is the ZRC Etanche Grand Fonds GF38. 39mm, 13.75 thick, and $3,391. Big penalty here for affordability, -8. It's one of the more expensive watches in the video, so that is, yeah, it's up there, getting up there. Very cool what they do here with the crown here at the 6 o'clock, and the bracelet protects it. That is a very cool thing to do. A lot of history to this design. I think it's an old company that's been around for a long time. Lume looks pretty good. Lume actually looks really good. That second pip is gigantic. The bezel pip is huge too, so that's really good. As distinctive as possible. It got top score for distinctiveness. That certainly probably carried it up to the finish line. That was a huge factor in being 7th place. Now these numbers have many decimals. All this stuff has decimals. It's just hidden so it doesn't have to burden your eyes and brain. I did not break any ties with the scoring here at the end. These are all just where they ended up with the parameters I set up. That was the number 7. In sixth place is the Tag Heuer Aqua Racer 300 meters, 36 millimeters in diameter, 11.4 only thick, $3,450. It has an automatic movement and it's only 11.4 and it's 300 meters. Yeah, the famous Rolex Submariner is famously thin at 12 millimeters for its 300 meters water resistance. This is more than half a millimeter thinner than the Rolex Submariner. Great job, Tag Heuer. Yeah, Tag Heuer is really working hard to just deliver a quality product from what I've seen. I really like what I'm seeing out of Tag Heuer lately. And this is a good example of it. 36, that's really cool. The lume is actually really nice on this black one. Some of the other colors have like jewels instead of lume indices, so those wouldn't score as high. Those wouldn't probably even be in the top 10. This one does make it. This lume does look really cool to me. So the black one is a solid choice. High looks and aesthetics, in my opinion. I really like this 12-sided bezel, all of that. It's got a unique style that's its own. Distinctiveness is pretty good on this too. Brand strength is really high. Affordability is really the only downside, in my opinion. And it's kind of small too. 36 is a little bit small. Some people want a 36. Tag Heuer seems like a good, I hate the term grail watch, but an aspirational watch for somebody who likes this 36. Yeah, this is definitely aspirational in that situation. Total score of 89. All right, top 5. In 5th place is the Marathon MSAR Automatic. 36 millimeter, 13 thick, and $1,215. Original score of 81. It went all the way up to 90. After subjective factors are taken into consideration, it's an A-. The tritium is going to be nice. The pictures never do it justice. Tritium is so cool in the dark. It has a ton of history. It's a very distinctive watch. Yeah, 11 out of 12. People see the Marathon, they know exactly what it is. There's nothing else that really looks like it. It is very tooly. It is very robust. Yeah, it's a cool option. The 36 millimeter too. There aren't a bunch of divers in that size range. This was in that Teddy Baldessar article I mentioned at the beginning. So this is one of the ones he thought was good as well. Total score of 90. 4th place, getting closer to those top 3. In 4th place is the Yema Superman Slim CMM.20. 39 millimeters across, 12.6 millimeters thick. Because of that crystal, you can see how domed it is, and $2,490. Micro rotor movement, that is so cool. The bracelet looks really nice on this. It's got the bezel lock. It's a very distinctive looking watch, got 10 out of 12. That's important to me. I like to have watches that look a little bit different than other ones. So this is cool. If you can get your hands on it, I know Yema's difficult sometimes to get. They have low numbers and stuff. The lume looks really cool. Second lume is a little bit of a disappointment to me. That looks very, very pale. I don't think the second lume's going to last very long. Really solid option as a small dive watch. Total score of 90. 3rd place. One of the ones that was not on Teddy Baldessar's list at all, for some reason, is the Marie Lacroix Acon Venturer. 38 millimeters, 12 thick, awesome. $2,383. Again, Rolex Submariner thickness, only 12 thick. And it's 300 meters, just like the Rolex Submariner. So that's great, but it's only a 38 millimeter, great size. The black looks really nice. I showed the green in the main video, but black looks fantastic. Let's look at the lume. Yes, fantastic lume on the Marie Lacroix. Much better lume than the Rolex Submariner, in my opinion. This is really cool. And it's a very distinctive look. Kind of looks like the Royal Oak, the way they did this here with the bracelet. Kind of integrated case with these little 2 guys. The Royal Oak is kind of curved on the end. So it's not exactly the same as the Royal Oak, the Audemars Piguet, but I think this is a very distinctive looking watch. I mentioned before, if you like Star Wars, it kind of looks like the Empire's logo here with the bezel. That's pretty cool. Yeah, distinctive, great lume, good looks to it. Yeah, this is a good one. The plastic Marie Lacroix, don't get that one, but the metal one is good. Score of 94. In 2nd place, also not on Teddy Baldessar's list, is the Seiko SNE 575. 38 millimeters across, 10.6 millimeters thick. Crazy thin. $396. Totally affordable. Very low penalty here for affordability. It's not particularly distinctive, The lume is not particularly impressive either. Looks are okay, kind of medium, not, well, above average looks, but not like the belle of the ball. It's got strong brand strength. Solar movements are fantastic for tool watches because you kind of get the best of both worlds with automatic and quartz, because you get the accuracy of the quartz, you get the robustness of the quartz, you get the thinness of the movement of the quartz, but then you also don't have to worry about a battery that's going to die after 2 years. You know, you have a longer service interval. I know there's a capacitor that has to be changed, but that's more along the timelines of the automatic movement as well. And you just send it away and get it fixed. And if you're actually a diver, you don't want the thing dying while you're underwater. So solar is a fantastic way to go. And this is ISO certified, you know, professional diving instructors, some kind of magnetism protection. It's solid. The bezel, I love all these slashes all the way around. I love the blue accent, the globe. It's looking really cool. This bracelet actually does have an adjustment on it according to the product listing. So this is a solid option, total score of 96. In first place, coming out of nowhere, I really did not expect to see this even in the top 10 when I was doing this video. Until I actually did all these rounds, I did not expect this to happen. The number one is the Leica Mojave 39. 39 millimeters across, 13 millimeters thick, $1,007. Yeah, I did not expect this to be the best small dive watch. And like I said, it wasn't on Teddy Baldessar's list at all in that article. Maybe I shouldn't call it Teddy Baldessar's list because it was a writer for him, but it's on his website and it's a good article. It's fantastic. But yeah, he missed the Leica Mojave. And this is a good dive watch for small wrists, just a small dive watch. The lume is outrageous. That is so cool. Lume is supposed to be fun. This is very fun what they did here. It's fantastic. Even the second hand is fully lumed. And you've got the orange pip, but they put lume on across that whole thing. Isn't that cool? Very white against that black. Man, Germans know how to make a very legible watch. Just crisp, high contrast. I love to see that. Just plain hand all the way out. These are a little bit thin, but they're just as visible as other hands that are bigger sometimes because it is just single purpose, just a solid strip of lume. This is so cool. I would love to get my hands on it and see what it looks like, see how it feels and everything. Yeah, that's one thing you have to do. You just have to try them on. You just never know when you get a watch, just buy a watch online and it comes. There's always things you didn't know about it when you get it. Watch reviews at the very least, but you know, if you can, get your hands on it. See if it really stands up to the hype or whatever. But yeah, brand strength is pretty high for Leica. I mean, they were one of the original Flieger makers. As a dive watch, yeah, Leica's not necessarily high brand strength, but I just took brand strength generically for these brands. Looks aesthetic, really good. I love how this thing looks. Not at the top by any means. Lume is absolutely at the top. This lume is fantastic. It's also a distinctive looking dive watch. It's not too crazy expensive, only $1,000. You probably find them cheaper as well. So that was my number one. Yeah, I think that Leica Mojave is the best. All right, I'll show you the 5 honorable mentions as well. Let's do those. The first runner-up is the Seiko SKX 013. It's 38 millimeters, 13 thick, $989. It's a classic, the SKX. People don't want to pay $1,000 for an SKX though. So Seiko, I still think it deserves consideration. It's only, it's a 38 millimeter, so it deserves some consideration for a small dive watch. Maybe see if you can get one used is my recommendation. Next is the Breitling Super Ocean 36, the second runner-up. 36 millimeters, 12.2 thick, so good thickness. Yeah, I mean, all the thicknesses have been great on these watches. I didn't realize that. When you make them wider, you have to have probably a thicker crystal because the crystal diameter is more. I'm sure that has something to do with how much pressure it can take, is how big of a crystal is it. If you have a pie plate of a crystal, it's gonna have to be really, really thick. Smaller diameter watches, it appears, also are thinner, just overall. Lume looks okay on this, looks good. Yeah, Lume was 6 out of 12, it's kind of middle of the road. I really like this big chapter ring with the Arabics printed in here. It's this distinctive look, and I like it. Got kind of a small dial for the actual hands, but then you have this big minute deal going on there. I like the Super Ocean. It's a really cool looking watch. Very expensive though, $5,000. The third runner-up is the Triton Spirotechnique Sport. 39 millimeters across, 12.25 millimeters thick, and $5,625. Original score was 85, and it ended up pretty much around the same, B grade. Yeah, it's third runner-up. Cool loom, probably C1 or something. This is a really cool mechanism they have to protect the crown. They patented it. I don't think anybody else is doing this, because they've got the patent. But that's a cool thing they did at the 12 o'clock. Very distinctive look. 12 out of 12 for distinctiveness. Total score of 86. The fourth runner-up is the Rolex Yachtmaster 37. It's 37 millimeters, 11 thick. Only 11. $11,650. It's only 11 thick because it's only 100 meters water resistance. It's kind of a dive style. It still made it up here though. And honestly, that's really just due to there not being as much competition with these smaller ones. It has really high brand heritage. They look fantastic. They're really expensive, fairly distinctive. Loom is actually not that great. And yeah, the original score is probably the main thing that held this one out of the top 10, the 79. If it was just like 3 or 4 points more, if it was like an 82 or something, probably would have made it to the top 10. So that score is, the original score does factor into it a ton. If it's an 82 times 175, that's 61.5 plus 26. Yeah, it easily would have been in the top 10 if this was like an 82 or even probably an 81 score. It's just not the best dive watch. And if Rolex Submariner made a 37 millimeter, that probably would have been in the top 10. But they don't. So if you really want a Rolex that's small, this is the way to go. Total score of 85. In fifth runner-up is the Christopher Ward C60 Trident Pro 300. It's 38 millimeters. It's 11 millimeters thick. $1,095. And low contrast penalty on this guy for the silver on the white. Good looking loom. That was the fifth runner-up. And those were all the dive watches. That's the whole video. There's no bonus segments or anything because it's kind of a small population, just 112. Thanks for watching. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. Let me know if you have any comments for me. At this point, the video's not over. After I talk about the dive watches, I love to talk about the Bible, so that's what I'm going to do now. All right, my favorite time of the video, Bible time. I'm not a pastor or a biblical scholar or any of that stuff. I'm just a Christian who likes to share the Bible. I say that so you don't think I have any authority whatsoever. Consult your Bible, talk to your pastor if you have any theological questions. I think the Bible is totally fascinating. It changed my life. So I share it with others. Today, I'm not starting a series on the fruits of Spirit. I'm on the third fruit. We're going through the fruits of the Spirit. The passage is found in Galatians 5, verses 22 through 24. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Against such things there is no law. Those who belong to Christ Jesus have crucified the flesh with its passions and desires. Today we're on the third fruit, peace. Now, before I get into peace, I need to reiterate that these are fruits of the Spirit, i.e. the Holy Spirit. For me, this is a little bit confusing. I'll just be honest, I'm a little confused because I've experienced some amount of these fruits before I was saved. So the fruits of the Spirit concept has tripped me up in the past. And it sometimes continues to do so. It's hard for me to always recognize what comes from me, what's a work of my own doing, and what comes from God working through me due to my faith. And I've given my life to God, so it's arguable that everything I do comes out of that. Everything that's good comes out of that. I guess what I'm worried about is a passivity of a Christian to be like, well, I guess God just hasn't produced this fruit for me. Instead of standing up and volunteering and doing whatever needs to be done, just sitting on the sidelines and saying, I guess the Spirit just hasn't moved me to do it yet. That sort of thing. But what does the Bible say? We're going to get into that. Begs the question, what works in my life can I take personal responsibility for? It's not necessarily who takes the credit, who takes the responsibility. So my concern with the idea that peace and self-control and stuff, it only comes from the Spirit, it's like, If I don't have self-control, then do I say, oh, well, I guess the Spirit's just not working in my life? So I think there's some personal responsibility here as well. Hopefully I can make that clearer when I get into more of the specifics. Something comes from me. Am I wholly degenerate to my core? Yeah, maybe. But when I do something good, when I'm gentle, kind, or faithful, is there any amount of my own self-will involved? Or does the goodness only come from God? Romans 1 verse 20. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse. I take this to mean that we could all be good. All of us could be good. His invisible attributes are clearly perceived. So we can perceive God in his creation. We know what's good. My personal belief, we have the ability to be good, and we choose not to. God wants to see us become like him, and technically we can be, but none of us do. None of us do. None is righteous, no, not one. To be more like Jesus, we need help. Therefore, we need a spirit of humility. You can't accept help with closed fists. You can't receive anything with your closed fists. You have to open them up to receive the help of God. And we need to ask for his help in order to receive it as well. Philippians 4:13 says, for I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. We can do it. It says I can do everything through Christ. We can do it when we get our strength from him. We have to ask for his help. John 15 verse 4 through 5 says, remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine and you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. You will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. You will bear much fruit if you remain in Christ. So the Bible's making it clear here, the fruit of the Spirit, peace today. I mean, Jesus says you cannot, well, he says, neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. No branch can bear fruit by itself. This peace, whatever peace I get, it's counterfeit. It's not the real deal unless I'm in Christ. That's what I'm taking this to mean. Because, yeah, meditating, bowing down to a Buddha statue, meditating, I was receiving some kind of a peace. It was more like hallucinating, though. It was deceptive. It was deceptive peace. It wasn't true peace that I get from Christ. So there's counterfeit fruits out there. Okay, here's another Bible verse. God calls us to be lights of the world. Matthew 5:14, verse 16. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Whose good works? The Bible says your good works. Let your light so shine before men. We each have good works to do. We each have a light to provide when we're in Christ Jesus. That is the point here. We are partners. It's not, so the fruit of the Spirit, it's not just that I am a puppet that God is using. No, God wants us to work with him. He wants us to have good works that glorify him. The fruits of the Spirit are produced out of that relationship with God. We need the Holy Spirit working in our lives to reach this full potential. On my own power, I cannot experience the fullness of the fruits of love, joy, peace, etc. God is the source of goodness. So it's both. My conclusion is it's both. But yeah, without humility, it can't happen. So we have to turn ourselves over to Jesus. In fact, humility was a stumbling stone. Isaiah 8, verse 14. He will be a holy place. He, meaning Jesus. For both Israel and Judah, he will be a stone that causes people to stumble. Jesus is the stone that causes people to stumble. And a rock that makes them fall. And for the people of Jerusalem, he will be a trap and a snare. It's referring to the crucifixion. How the powerful in the religious community saw Jesus as a threat and they killed him. That was the stumbling stone part of it. And it was because they were blinded by their own piety, their perceived goodness, self-goodness. Their works were all of their own. They were not reliant on God. They were puffed up. They were prideful. And Jesus was a stumbling stone. So the humility issue is very important. It is important we know where our works come from. So we have to have humility to understand our limitations, call on God for salvation for our sins, absolutely, and then walk with him into holiness. Holiness not achieved on our own merit, but through the free gift of God. We're holy in God's eyes when we accept the free gift, Jesus' propitiation for our sins. But let's get into the fruit. Here's the description of the fruit. The fruit being peace. The Greek word that is mentioned in Galatians is Strong's 1515, eirene, and it means peace. It's the opposite of war and dissension. We think of war and peace. Well, yeah, war is the opposite. Physical peace, but it also means emotional peace, a state of tranquility, harmony, safety, even prosperity. And in Jewish culture, they would use the Hebrew word for peace, shalom, as a farewell. You go in your separate ways, you say shalom. And that's Strong's 7965, Old Testament. So I brought up the Hebrew word because the audience at the time spoke Hebrew as well. And so they would have understood that you say shalom, and shalom is a farewell. And they would have known that eirene is the word that corresponds to shalom. So both of those would have been in their head when they're reading eirene. And shalom also has a meaning of to be complete, to join together. So that's pretty interesting. In the Christian context, shalom is wellness that comes from unity with God through right relationship. It's what I was talking about at the beginning. When Jesus says he's the true vine, abide in me and I in you, and that's what produces the real fruit. It's that unity, the shalom, that produces the fruit of the Spirit, shalom. So, yeah, I have circular reasoning here, perhaps. Sorry about that. Is wellness that comes from unity with God through right relationship. For Christians, that means the blood covenant of Jesus, the new covenant. That is how we gain right relationship with God. When Isaiah went up to the great throne room of God and the angel put the hot coal on his tongue to give him right relationship with God, that's a picture of how any of us who are teleported up to the throne room of God right now would be in absolute terror, in fear for the Lord, because we're unholy, unfit to be there. God has a way to purify us, though, and that way is through Jesus Christ, his Son. Okay, so my study Bible, I don't have it right here. It's upstairs. It lists examples of different types of peace. Peace between nations, peace in relationships, safety, salvation, and a tranquil state of the soul, which is sort of the same as salvation. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to give passages on each one of these. The Galatians 5 passage does not, it doesn't specify what type of peace. It just says peace. It just says eirene. So I think it's supposed to bring to mind all kinds of different meanings of peace. There's a ton of examples of peace in the Bible. So we'll go through some examples of eirene. Peace between nations. And there's more examples than this. But here's Acts 24, verse 2. When Paul was called in, Tertullus presented his case before Felix. We have enjoyed a long period of peace under you, and your foresight has brought about reforms in this nation. The peace of a nation. That's what he's talking about there. Meaning the nation is safe from harm with other nations. And it sort of implies a prosperity as well. Okay, next we have peace in relationships. Here's an example from Luke 12, verse 51 through 53. Do you think I came to bring peace on earth? No, I tell you, but division. From now on there will be 5 in one family divided against each other, 3 against 2, 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son, son against father, mother against daughter, and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law, and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. Okay, so that's the opposite of peace. That's what he's talking about, is division. So peace is unity. Again, that shalom meaning of to be joined together. So he's using the word eirene in Luke here. At least that's how it's recorded in the Gospels. And they gave the opposite, division, and it described in great detail what that looks like when father's against son, mother-in-law's against daughter-in-law, whatever, all these crazy things. Yes. All these combinations, permutations, whatever it is, 3 against 2, 2 against 3. That's the opposite of peace. Okay, James 3:17 to 18. Another example of peace in relationships. But the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. Peacemakers who sow in peace reap a harvest of righteousness. So that's interpersonal relationships as well. Another one is 1 Corinthians 7:15. But if the unbeliever leaves, let it be so. The brother or the sister is not bound in such circumstances. God has called us to live in peace. It's describing someone in your family who's an unbeliever, they leave. Brother and sister could just mean like friends as well. It doesn't necessarily, I think in this context, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that could just be like, it's my brother. Don't let it divide you, the fact that someone is rejecting the gospel. But it's another example of peace in relationships. I don't know why I gave 3. There's kind of feel like the more Bible verses, the better. So that's the philosophy on these fruits of the Spirit. Just give a ton of examples. All right, safety. Examples of safety. I've got a couple here. First one is Luke chapter 11, verse 21 through 22. When a strong man armed keepeth his palace, his goods are in peace. But when a stronger than he shall come upon him and overcome him, he taketh from him all his armor wherein he trusted, and divideth his spoils. So, in that version, irene is talking about kind of physical security, or security of your belongings. Your palace and your goods. A strong man can come in and take that all away from you. Your goods are not going to be in peace anymore. Okay, now I'm going to pull one from the Old Testament. It's not irene, but it's shalom. And actually, there's a couple of these from Isaiah. So let's take Isaiah 9:6. For unto us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful. Wonderful! Yeah. Wonderful Counselor, Almighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Yeah, Handel's Messiah. We're all familiar with that, I think. Prince of Peace. Yeah, it's talking about Jesus taking control of the government and keeping us all safe from that point on. More in this prophecy comes from Isaiah 11:6-7. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear, their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the cobra's den, and the young child will put his hand into the viper's nest. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the earth. This is talking about when Jesus reigns. And the same one was before, the government being on his shoulders. When Jesus is in charge, the kid can play near the viper's den. It's not a problem. Physical safety. That's an example there. And it's from the Old Testament. It's talking about shalom, but I think it still applies here. That's kind of the biblical concept of peace. It includes this physical safety. We've got a couple more here. Salvation. So peace meaning salvation. This is from Colossians 1, verses 19 and 20. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. Jesus made peace through his blood shed on the cross. His blood shed on the cross, that's salvation. That's the new covenant I was talking about earlier. That's how peace was made. Achieving salvation is another meaning of peace. Like, peace comes through that salvation. Okay, 2 Peter 3, verse 14. So then, dear friends, since you are looking forward to this, make every effort to be found spotless, blameless, and at peace with him. At peace with him meaning saved. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23. May God himself, the God of peace, sanctify you through and through. May your whole spirit, soul, and body be kept blameless at the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ. The one who calls you is faithful, and he will do it. The God of peace sanctify you. Romans 5, verse 1 and 2. Therefore, since we have been justified through faith, we have a peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have gained access by faith into this grace in which we now stand. This is similar to the salvation, but we have tranquil state of the soul. Luke chapter 2, verse 14. Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. Yes, the announcement of Jesus' birth by, I believe, an angel. Yeah, what a glorious... Glory to God in the highest. Those angels really were pumped about the announcement of Jesus' birth. Philippians 4, verse 7. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So at least the Study Bible is making the argument that being in Christ Jesus will provide you a tranquil state of the soul. It'll give you peace that just gives you a tranquil state in your soul. And guard your hearts and minds. Okay, John 16, verse 33. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So the peace that's described here is not physical safety. Sometimes peace means physical safety, sometimes it means something else. In John 16:33, he's saying you're going to have trouble. You're not going to be safe physically. Your You may be killed for your faith even. But take heart, I have overcome the world. You can have a tranquil state of your soul. You may have peace. I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. The peace is due to the hope we have, that we know we are saved, that we will be with God forever. We are joined to him. The bottom line is this. On our own, separated from God, there's very little peace. Any peace that is obtained is counterfeit peace. Like I was talking about, bowing down to a Buddha statue, meditating, I'd kind of get this alternate state of mind thing. It's not real peace. It's counterfeit peace. God offers us great emotional peace in this life, and perfect emotional peace, and perfect physical safety in eternity. There'll be no more crying, no more tears, no more sickness in eternity. And this is all through the blood of Jesus. That's all I've got on the fruit of the Spirit, peace. I could have said some other stuff, surely. Tons could have been said differently, but I'll leave it at that. Next time I'll do the fourth fruit. The fourth fruit is forbearance. Okay, that'll be fun. I'm not sure what forbearance is. We're going to find out. I think I know, but we'll dive into it deeply, figure out what forbearance is. If you want better biblical analysis or just additional biblical analysis, I've linked 4 pastors in the description. Check them out. They're all great. I also linked the sermons of my personal church if you're interested. And my closer, my final benediction, is about the Lord of Peace. It's 2 Thessalonians 3, verse 16. So I think I'll put that on the screen when I say it at the end here. But now for a prayer. Lord, thank you for this opportunity to talk about the Bible. Thank you for giving me some excuse to just dive into your word more. It has been really interesting going through these fruits of the Spirit. And I thank you that you do give us fruits. You've given me fruits of the Spirit in my life when I'm in you, when I'm connected, when I have that connection to you. So Lord, I pray you would help us all to keep our personal connection with you strong so that we can be lights of the world, we can be a city on a hill. I pray that for all of us. I pray it in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen. And here's that benediction I like to give. Now may the Lord of peace himself give you peace always and in every way. The Lord be with you all. See you next time.